Oh. Nice. Hey, here's a funny story. How do you position cameras once you've switched to your scene? Or is the trick to not go live until you've positioned your cameras? Hey, guys, guess what I did? That's great. I was going to say, basically, um, yeah, that's actually exactly what I'll do. As soon as... Oh, hey, everybody. So let it be written. So let it be done. This is Tabletop Terrors. And what I should have used my unmuted audio to say is you should check out the link below in the Mecha chassis hips and click on the link that will bring you to the Mecha Hack Kickstarter mission manual. And this is basically a ton of mecha missions, including a bunch of new fun mechanics, pilots, mecha, and you should check it out. If you like this sort of game, this is definitely the mecha game that I prefer and recommend. And I'm not biased. I've seen several, and this one seems to be the one that I like because it's rules light, it's action packed, but it also has some good meat to it. I'm going to go ahead and fix my systems display here shortly, but in the meantime, I'm going to have these players who are playing salvagers. Players, you can choose some salvage from the salvage table that we're going to be including in this book. Additionally, you can also choose from a very brand new table. It's called the gadgets table. This was Matt Click's idea. Matt, do you want to tell them a little bit about gadgets?
Yeah, so gadgets are basically they're like trinkets in 5th edition. They're just little like flavorful little bits of technology that don't really have any mechanical bearing, but they just give you some like fun flavors. So like an example is a holo projector, which you can use to project any sort of like images or effects on the hull of your mecha or the nearby area. Another example is foot treads. You have treads on your feet. Cockpit trinket. It's like a prized possession that's hanging from the rear view mirror of your cockpit, things like that. So nothing that like gives you any sort of mechanical benefit, but just a little like narrative flavor that you can use in like descriptions and things like that. Or come up with cool ways to use them in situations. So yeah, that was just, I wanted a way to have neat little bits like that didn't necessarily have any like mechanical bearing, but give you some like fun little tools. So that's what the gadgets are. And I'm actually going to take a screenshot of that really quick and share it with the chat so that everyone can pick one.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really cool idea because of how many narrative opportunities there are in this game. Sometimes you just want to do that cool thing, like the foot treads. Basically, yeah. I just thought it'd be really cool. I want to see the robot stand in a standing position and go, and then like shoot off the jump, like And that's what it is. It doesn't mechanically make you faster, but it just gives you cool stuff to roleplay, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Or like I put in there, like one of my favorite things is in the original Gundam, they have these like thrusters on the back so that when the Gundam falls over, they can fire these thrusters and stand back up. And it's like, there's never going to be a time in Mecha Hack where like mechanically you're like, oh no, I fell over and I need to stand back up. But it's like, it's still a fun thing to be like, okay, like I fall over when I take damage, but then I like thrust myself back up with these little like thrusters on the back. So
yeah,
super, like
super
just
cool.
fun little flavor. Yeah.
Tonight we'll be playing a mission that I wrote and Matt edited, which is basically the thing was, hey, Tim, could you write something that has to do with some environments? And I was like, okay. And forever making something that is like a framing device, I was like, I actually am going to make this kind of a wacky mission. So all of you are going to be starting out in the Verilian tunnels. Now, one of the things that I'll tell you all, like straight up, my idea of what the Verilian tunnels were changed a lot since the first book. So like, whereas they were first originally going to be just literally subterranean tunnels, like in my mind, they're actually more like wormholes. And they, I think, most often occur subterranean. But like, I imagine them happening in space and so on. So like, just so that you know, this particular mission is going to happen. And I was thinking that what I want you to do is imagine that you have found this little pocket of existence outside of one of these Verilian tunnels where scrap can exist. And so I want each of you to be thinking of a major landmark or some sort of geographic marker that you've come to know as you've scavenged this little pocket dimension in a Verilian tunnel. So it can be whatever. It can be a grassy vista. It can be a blasted asteroid. But you found this sort of pocket where all of this salvage is like basically unpicked. And now it's time to jump back through the tunnel and go home. So if any of you have any of those things ready now, you can go ahead and fire off. And would one of you, either Dwight or Nicole, be so kind as to drop them into the chat as people say them? So who wants to give me a landmark?
Messenger or Zoom chat?
Zoom chat would be ideal.
Okay.
I'll do one. So part of one of the standout features here are there are these. My mouth can work and make words, I promise. There are these organic crystals. They are like hardened bits of flesh that seem to have veins coursing through them and pulsing through a network connected to other crystals around the area.
That's super dope.
Probably should have been typing that as he said it. I was too busy listening.
Well, so
organic crystals,
that sounds really sweet,
veins.
man.
I was gonna say, yeah, and you don't have to write like a description from the book. You can just say organic crystals that are connected or something like that.
I've got this. I'm good.
Oh, you go ahead, Dwight.
So like I'm thinking of a like if we're on like a planetoid or of any type, there's like this glade or this clearing that has it has these, there's trees that have flowers blooming on them that kind of remind me of dogwood from the stories of Earth in the back time. So it's kind of really out of place, and in that it's really kind of peaceful and really shouldn't be there. So
killer.
So I guess I like to have the idea that if we're on a planet, it sounds like, I would like it to be rings of meteors, kind of like Saturn, where there's just asteroids constantly spinning around and meteorites maybe coming down to hit the planet's surface occasionally.
That's killer. That's really cool too.
I was going to say, like lava domes, like numerous sort of like lava domes, these like little miniature volcanoes sort of scattered about with like veins of molten rock kind of running through them. So they're always just kind of like this like glowing red sort of spider web pattern on these lava domes.
That's amazing.
And I'm thinking we're gonna smell the brimstone from the lava. We're gonna smell the dogwood flowers, and we're gonna hear birds singing. Maybe not see them, but they're there. And probably other creatures in the undergrowth, but we don't know what.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right. So I'm a very improvisational game master, so that throws people off in terms of like, I have things that I prepare, but very often I'll say, I don't know, I haven't thought about that. What do you think it is? If that catches you off guard, just tell me like, hey, I need a second to think. We're all human. And so, or feel free to throw it to someone else. But I love collaborating. I love building this story together. And so, bring your part and don't be shy about that. You are all some of the most lucky scrappers alive because you have had access to something that was untouched, which is very rare in Lodestar Alpha. Most of the time, salvage is picking the last of a piece of steel out of the ground. Chunks, bits, piecing it together. But what you're able to find here is untouched by time, untouched by other scrappers. You've hit the mother lode. So it's simple. You need to just jump back through this Verilian tunnel. You have done it 100 times, and this is a familiar hole. So now, tell me what it looks like as Vulcan 0 as you finish up and prepare for the last jump home.
So Vulcan 0 is this spindly framed mecha. The plating of this frame sort of creates this the look of this kind of tall, slender humanoid with these like large shoulder pauldrons, and the metal is kind of this golden rod yellow with some scuffs and scrapes and maybe even a little bit of rust. The pilot inside once had a name himself, but more often than not nowadays he just goes by 0. Through various accidents and calamities and battles, various bits and pieces of 0 have been replaced and integrated into the chassis that he pilots. And so we see this mecha, and he maybe has like a little he's using his energy bayonet. It's basically like this little gauntlet blade that kind of emits out, and he's hewing off a piece of this salvage, maybe taking a reactor, cutting it free off of this salvage, and kind of he tucks it and it mag locks to the back of the mech. And inside the cockpit, we see 0 is, to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, more machine than man. Half of his face is metal and conduits integrated with the mecha themselves. And his eyes kind of glow as he's looking at various readouts. And he would say over the comms to the team, Vulcan 0, I am finishing up my operation. I recommend that we prepare to disembark and return.
Roger that, 0. We've got a little bit more to do, but we'll be right with you. And then you hear this like absolutely horrific crushing sound of like the crystal material and almost a metal ripping noise. After a couple seconds it stops, and Zombie Coyote regroups with Vulcan.
And this Verilian tunnel is a it's a strange place. The Verilian tunnels are these wormholes that have been around for as long as anyone in Lodestar Alpha can remember. So they're predictable as they are unpredictable. This pocket dimension that you found is sort of a strange amalgamation of various different biomes and organic and also elements and things of that nature. And so you can see this sort of patchwork, as these meteors sort of shoot overhead, lining the silhouettes of these dogwood trees that are out of place. If you were to turn to your right, you would see these massive lava domes with veins of hot magma sprawling through, bleeding into this ground that shifts between red clay and these crystal chunks that look more like hardened, crystallized flesh than they do minerals of the earth. And through it all, as you're finishing your salvage and as you each listen to each other, you hear the faint song of some sort of bird that could survive in this place. And through it all, it's become familiar to you. It's become home away from home. This strange mishmash of environment almost reminds you of yourself. This strange mishmash of these things that shouldn't work together but do. And you almost think you might miss it. Dark Harmony, what's going through your mind as you prepare for the jump?
I am thinking about all the things that could go wrong, because Dark Harmony is kind of a pessimist. I know you wouldn't have guessed it from that name. All the potential other people that could find this, and I'm worried that somebody else is going to try and jump the claim and try and grab some of the salvage before we get everything we want from it. So Dark Harmony is like this fairly small mech. It's like somebody has taken an Aeon mech and then ripped everything that wasn't completely essential off of it to make it as fast and agile as possible. And it's mostly just legs with a little bit at the top for the pilot, and then like spindly arms. So she's like trying to grab as many different things and load it all together so that we can get out of here.
Yeah, and I imagine that there's some sort of a vault, locker, trailer, this giant storage thing, whatever that would look like. Does anybody have any ideas of what you might be loading this salvage into? Because I feel like you would have it on yourself. There's definitely some things that you would have that were important enough to keep on your own mecha. But there's plenty. What is this stuff stored in?
I was thinking, Tim, the mule from Deep Rock Galactic?
My man.
That you like load the stuff up in. So it's basically like
Molly.
Yeah, it's like this almost like a big spider mech that's just following us around, and whenever we stop somewhere, it just like nestles into the ground, and we can load salvage into it, and it like closes it up, and it's basically like a big cargo container with legs.
That's fantastic.
I love Molly.
It's so good. I love it. And so with the one or two pieces of extremely rare salvage that you have kept yourself, everything else is in this thing, this mule. And it just kind of and you're kind of loading it up for that last trip home. Ivory Edge, what are you doing? And maybe what's that, if you want to talk about it now, what's that prized piece of salvage that you're keeping for yourself, not loading into Molly?
So I feel like Ivory Edge, he used to be a mechanic at one point working on like scrap mechas, and then he wound up saving enough parts to kind of build his own. So he's in almost a homebrewed, crafted mecha. So it's got almost like not forklift arms, but that's kind of, they can move up and down into sockets themselves,
Sure.
not normal joints.
Sure.
So, and he's got a huge backpack container on his back, which he puts lots of different plating that he gets. So there's the mule that they've got, but he's also got his own huge container that he just wears on his back. So he's been kind of rotating his torso and putting stuff into the backpack and rotating it back. And when he hears Zero over the comms saying that you've got the reactor and you're about ready to go, you just hear the, man, there's so much more scrap here. You sure you want to get going already? And he's kind of looking out the viewport, trying to catch a glimpse of his teammates before we take our leave.
In response to that, I would say, this is piddly stuff. We have the important things. We're going to make plenty of money off of that, and we can come back for it if we can route it out properly.
It's all important, boss. But all right. And then, with all that, he's going to kind of start headed back over to the mule to try to kind of sync up for the Verilian tunnel jump.
Yeah. Onyx sunset. You look on this horizon. Perhaps your glimpse steadied on these dogwood trees that are out of place, these things that represent not just beauty in a place like this, but even tales that you've heard of a place of old, a planet long, long gone that somehow brings you comfort. What is on your mind as you prepare the last of your salvage for the jump home?
Yeah, as everybody is loading up their salvage, Onyx Sunset's actually off to the side. He's already packed his stuff away. He stepped away from the group and is kind of in the shadow of one of these organic crystalline outcroppings, looking out over this valley with these dogwood trees. And you see this old grizzled veteran in the cockpit, and he's keying the controls as he gets recordings of this bird song that's playing at the edge of this valley, and just kind of taking a quiet moment to himself before he turns back around. And as he turns, you see this hulking mech that is just sheer black, with the moonlight just kind of shimmers off of the shoulders and the arms, and it's just sleek and black, massive. You notice 3 arms on this thing, and this massive axe keyed into his back. He takes a few steps back towards the group, and he looks over as the cargo spider kind of settles back down and closes up. All right. Looks like we are ready to go. Should we say we get this show on the road, get on home?
Can't happen fast enough.
I have a quick question. How difficult is it to navigate through the wormholes? Like, if we wanted to come back, is it something that we can just plot into our systems and make return journeys, or is it
very typically? No, I would say very typically, but I will say this, and one of the reasons why you are all leaving is things have gotten a little strange. This Verilian tunnel, this pocket dimension, something's a little wrong. If you look into the distance just long enough, what would normally be these dogwood trees or these lava domes sort of bend and haze just a little bit. And when you blink, it's back to normal. So you just get this sense in your gut that things here are growing a little unstable. And even the hole itself that you tend to jump through, that specific position of the Verilian tunnel that you know is the exit, you could definitely get back, but you're not sure if you'd want to.
As we are... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm going to take one last look at the kind of the scrap and all the slag metal that we've been harvesting, and just kind of, I guess we got enough. And then I'm just going to pick up my pace. That's it.
As we're preparing to exfiltrate here, I use my gadget, my camera drone, this little piece of Vulcan Zero's pauldron dislodges, and there's a little like whirring propeller inside of it, and it sort of like goes up into the air, and I'm just kind of like scouting out a little bit as we're getting ready to get out of here, just keeping an eye out for anything weird, because I would imagine that Zero being plugged directly into his mecha would probably have picked up on the weird energy fluctuations and strange readings that are happening the longer that we stay here.
Absolutely. First of all, exfiltrate, top 10 word of all time.
So it's so funny. Sorry, real quick aside, JB Little wrote one of the missions for us in the book, and he used the word exfiltrate in his mission, and I told him to cut it because I was like, I don't think anyone knows what this means. And then he was like, I really like that word though, and he fought me on it, and I'm so glad that he did, because now I use it all the time. I've said it 3 times in the last day at least.
It tracks. JB Little, well done. So does your cam drone go into the tunnel, or just kind of describe to me exactly what it is you're looking for?
I think I would just send it ahead of us into the tunnel, and
cool.
I don't know. It doesn't do anything mechanically, but I like the idea of me kind of like keeping an eye out ahead of us with my third eye, as it were.
No, I love that. And as I tell you what the drone sees, Nicole, can you roll me a d6 and tell me what the result is? So I think what you would notice is that I imagine that the way you go in and out of a Verilian tunnel is very like there's a wall of that membrane, and when you pass through, classic watching yourself pass through, and as your drone sort of something looks off. This tunnel is almost rotting. So if you could see what normally looks like a Verilian tunnel, whatever that looks like, this is blackened and almost gangrenous or sick. And it seems to be spreading, not rapidly, but almost like a tablet in water, as this sort of like and you can hear this kind of crackling through this from your cam drone. I imagine it has audio. I don't know if it does or not. It does now. It's like and you can hear it, but even in your bionic mind, the senses, the part of you, it shivers just a little at how unnatural it sounds.
So I would take note of that, and I would say over the comms, be advised, strange organic material present in our path. Tread lightly. And seeing that, I would drop this reactor that I've cut free from the salvage into the mule, and it would kind of close up, and I would reach back and tucked against my back, kind of locked into the pauldron, I take out this long single barrel rifle and kind of lock it into my hands, preparing to defend myself if need be. And I'm going to move towards the tunnel and kind of wait for everyone else to go through the tunnel first before I follow, but I'm essentially covering our retreat.
As he does that, I just realized I never actually described Zombie Coyote. Zombie Coyote's long claws wrap around the mule unit, picks it up and like puts it on its back, where there's this almost like backwards rib cage that kind of envelops around it, locking it into place. Its face is a face of a long dead, whir a little bit. It normally moves quadrupedally, but it can stand up. And as he gets ready, it rights itself, and it heads head first into the what is it called again? The
It's
what tunnel?
a Verilian tunnel.
Verilian tunnel.
Yep. You could just call it the tunnel. Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to call it the right thing.
No, for sure.
And
I
goes
appreciate
head
that.
first into the Verilian tunnel. As apparently I'm the boss, I wouldn't ask anyone to do something I wouldn't do myself.
That's amazing.
As Zombie disappears into the tunnel, Onyx steps forward, and across the midsection, you see the middle section of this mech just kind of detaches and pushes forward, and Onyx reaches down with one of his arms and pulls away that section, and it kind of attaches to his arm as a shield, and he steps into the tunnel as well.
And Dark Harmony has like crazy long legs. She's got the jump jets, and she's right there following on their heels.
Yeah. Ivory will follow behind. He wants to go in the middle, but Dark Harmony just kind of walks past him, and he's got this huge backpack, so he's slower. But he's like, I don't want to be last either. And he kind of just jumps through.
And then Vulcan Zero will follow behind, and as he does so, the legs kind of fold up a little bit, and they become like little thrusters. So he's almost like gliding now instead of walking, and he'll kind of glide behind everyone else into the tunnel.
And what all of you don't have to, each one of you sort of goes up, beginning with Zombie Coyote, this sort of gravitational pull that's imperceptible to anyone who isn't being pulled through is so powerful. This is now a dimensional gate that is rotting, and this pull is almost overwhelming. I need everyone to give me a power test, and you need to roll under a 15 or roll a reactor die.
So I rolled a 12, which is under the 15, but it's not under my power, which is an 11.
I got a 9.
8.
So
I rolled a nat 1. Yay!
Oh,
That's actually really good. All right, so talk me through, Ivory Edge, what you're saying.
So are we rolling under the difficulty class of a 15, or is it our own power?
I actually made this a DC because it's like a separate.
Okay.
It's a force of nature kind of thing. So I was just giving you a
So then I
target
pass.
number rather than your own power. Yeah.
Okay. Thankfully. I
Because
pass.
it's a bit of. I'm kind of thinking like it's a weird. I wanted it to have a bit of randomness to it because it's a weird like anomaly of an effect. It's not like push against a wall. It's like, do you get lucky or not? All right. So, warped reality. The mecha that you all just described to each other, you see bending and twisting, maybe even coming apart and going back together. If you hear sounds, there's a Doppler effect. It begins ahead of you. It begins behind you. It's just like these blinding colors. And you begin to get pulled down, almost backward, almost back into this rotting maw. As you look behind you, what once was the other side of the tunnel is now completely closed. It's this inky blackness. Everyone needs to roll mobility at disadvantage to steer through this dimensional rift, or you take 1d6 damage. However, if you dump your valued salvage that's on your own mecha, it lifts disadvantage. So I'll go one at a time and ask, do you decide to ditch your valued salvage that you kept for yourself, or do you roll at disadvantage? Onyx Sunset.
There is no way Onyx Sunset is going to ditch any kind of proprietary one-of-a-kind systems that he has found. So he does not. but I passed my rolls too. So
All right. Describe to me what it looks like as you navigate this wormhole.
So you see, as Onyx steps in and is ripped forward, the systems. It takes him a little bit to stabilize himself, but you see he kind of takes his again. He's got 3 arms. He just kind of pushes them all out to the side, and these sections open up on his arms, and they're these panels that add extra resistance. And you see this, whatever there is in here, if it's air or whatever materials are in here, it's you just hear this screeching noise as these banshee fenders engage on his arms, and he's just kind of moving them around as he stabilizes himself. And after a few seconds, he just kind of settles back and enjoys the ride.
Amazing. Dark Harmony, do you choose to jettison your valued salvage, or do you roll at disadvantage?
Roll at disadvantage. Not getting rid of the salvage. Come on. There could be good stuff. And if I tie my mobility score, is that a fail or a success?
So Matt can correct me, but I'm pretty sure if you hit at or above, it is a failure. You have to roll under.
Well, then I fail. Wow.
Yep. So you're going to have to take a D6 damage and describe to me what it looks like and what causes this damage.
I would think because she is so much lighter, she kind of blows around a bit, like as if there was a really heavy wind, and slams into some sort of debris that's in the wormhole with us. Maybe even into one of the other mechs, but I mean, we'll find out, I guess. And that's going to be 5 points of damage.
There you go. But you keep your salvage.
Oh, yes. That's the important part. I mean, really.
Ivory
I
Edge.
can fix the paint.
Exactly. And as you see, so Ivory Edge, you see Dark Harmony sort of blowing around, like bending and twisting in a bit of a tailspin, touching the sides of this wormhole as it eats away at bits of the steel and the paint. Are you going to jettison your salvage, or are you going to roll at disadvantage?
Roll the disadvantage. I do not want to, even if it's barely functional, I don't want to lose my scrap, especially since my home built mech is not disposable, but I can always fix it up. That's kind of what he does. But he's going to shout over the comms, Dark Harmony, watch out! And he's going to try to move out off to the side. And I rolled a 15 with disadvantage, so that's a fail. I rolled for 6 points of damage. And he's going to almost like skid against the side of the wall, and just all of his armor is going to get sheared off, and he's going to stumble forwards and bump into Dark Harmony, I think. If that's probably we're stumbling together. And you'll catch the wall in his other hand, and part of his mech's actual hand gets kind of shaved off a little bit. But he's able to right himself after that, and he takes 6 points of damage.
Yikes. Full damage. So, Zombie Coyote, you were first into this hole, and you probably felt the pull of the gravity a little harder than everyone else as this anomaly began to take place. So all you can see is what's ahead of you. You can feel yourself being pulled down, and you can easily jettison that piece that you're carrying and right yourself.
You know, Tim, you know that's not happening. No,
Listen.
I'm the actual merc out of everyone here. There's no way I'm dropping my salvage. I rolled an 8 and a 1. Which I assume the 8 is the one that counts because it's disadvantage. My mobility is 14.
That's correct.
Okay. Since I was the first one in, I'm gonna take a liberty here.
Yeah, absolutely.
The stuff that hit Dark Harmony and Ivory is stuff that Zombie Coyote vaulted over and ended up pushing behind himself. That's
amazing. The old the Legolas rubble walk. Yeah.
Yeah, and the nimbleness that Coyote moves with is kind of unnerving. Like if you saw it, you'd be like, that doesn't look right. because it's this amalgamation of carbon fiber tubes that create jumbles of muscles with actual flesh that's still somehow kept from rotting completely, intertwined with it.
Yeah. And so, as everyone else is dealing with their own situation, but you're just face forward, that rotted kaiju face just taking on this sort of solar wind and these dimensional rifts. And Vulcan Zero, I don't know if you can not see in calculations and probabilities, if there's any warmth in you to be afraid, but does your logic win out and you jettison your salvage, or do you hang on to it?
There's a split second when the klaxons start blaring inside the cockpit of Vulcan Zero, when I start veering off course, pulled by the weight of this extra salvage on my back. And in an instant, I calculate the risk versus the profit, and I say, acceptable risk, proceed. And I failed my mobility test, rolled a 15 on a 15 mobility.
Yes, you did.
With my new black hack dice tray that just absolutely betrayed me. So I'm going to roll my D6 damage, and that's 5 damage. Yeah. I'm actually going to take that damage directly to my hit points, because I can use my armor points for other stuff. So
that's great.
Yeah, I think that just the extra weight of this, these old munitions that I found that are mag-locked to the back of Vulcan Zero, this extra weight, I start drifting, and I start firing thrusters off to try and get back on course. But I just, like the others, I grind into that wall, and there's just this grinding sound and energy that begins coursing through the hull of the mech. And I'm in there, and I'm just very calmly there's fires in several important systems. And I just very calmly vent coolant into those sections and go, that was the correct decision. And just prepare to arrive wherever we are going to arrive.
And as all of you...
Comms check. Oh, sorry.
No, go. Yeah, do your thing.
Comms check. Is everybody still alive?
Technically,
Mayday,
yes.
Mayday. We need to stop for repairs before we go out to dinner, guys.
All right. And the important part. Did anyone lose anything important?
I looked down at his missing palm. Everything's shaved off. No, we're good.
Yeah, good here, boss.
No worries.
And as these pilots are spit out of some end of this Verilian tunnel, I want to remind anyone who's watching that we are playing the Mecha Hack Mission Manual, which is live right now on Kickstarter for about another week. And if you like these pilots, if you like these call signs, these gadgets, these mechanics, you can pick up the Mecha Hack and the Mecha Hack Mission Manual on the Kickstarter in the link below. When you are spit out the other end, you are met with something very familiar. You see rings of meteors. You see lava domes. You see some sort of crystal network. And you see these massive dogwood trees. But something is very different. Something feels very different. And as you begin to get your bearings, you realize that you are in the same place that you were. But the only difference is that this is probably an eon before Lodestar Alpha. You are in the prehistory of this system. And as you begin to get your bearings, I have rolled on, in this mission, it comes the D6 of alternate realities. Actually, Nicole rolled on it. This place reeks of death, and darkness blots out the sun. No, I apologize. This is eons before Lodestar Alpha. You are in the elements untamed. And we are now going to be using one of the modular rules that I love very, very much, we have what are called environmental hazards. So you are now in the environment that is volatile. Here's what that means. In addition to whatever weird ancient stuff I throw at you from before space travel, a mecha that doesn't take a move action on its turn must roll a mobility test. Failure results taking a number of d6 damage appropriate to the level of the hazard in the environment. That's up to me. A mecha that rolls a nat 20, or basically a natural failure, ignites a hazardous material, detonates an explosive, breaches a containment field, something like that, also has to make a mobility test to avoid damage. And you have what are called overactive reactors. Anytime you would normally roll your reactor die, you must roll it twice and take the worst result.
Can't believe I wrote those rules. It's really biting me in the ass right now.
I couldn't be more excited.
You're just dessert.
And so on this mission, basically, as you jump through this wormhole, you have there's 6 alternate realities, and all of them come with a hazardous environment. And that's where you are. Now, immediately, and what I'm going to do, I think that this is a really cool opportunity to go strangely prehistoric. This is essentially a place where like enemies from the alternate reality are there, right? However, who can describe to me, I'm imagining something that was eventually turned into those crystal veins. I'm imagining maybe these creatures that are like flesh, some kind of kaiju, something there. Does anybody have any ideas of what kind of enemies are in this place?
I'm picturing some sort of, as we're all talking about dinosaurs in the chat here, I'm picturing some sort of like Stegosaurus type analog that has these things growing out of its back, maybe like off these fleshy outcroppings and crystalline, organic crystalline things, for lack of a better word, coming out of its back on its tail.
I love it. I'm imagining these sort of like, and anyone feel free to jump in and make whatever else you're thinking. But I'm imagining that these are precursor, like progenitor species to kaiju. They're these, essentially these massive dinosaurs that are not quite crystal. They're not quite flesh, but they're all evil. No. And so that is what you are facing. So, let me give, who do I want to? Ivory Edge, roll me a d6.
A 1.
Oh, lucky. You have 1d6 plus 1 enemies of the alternate reality are in front of the hole that you can jump through to get out of here. Okay? So, you have to destroy at least half of them, which means one of them. And then a mobility or system to jump again successfully into the wormhole. Now, don't forget, this is a volatile environment, so you have to, on your turn, make a move, or you take damage. And there's a lot of other hazards. So, and Matt, please try to help me keep track of the volatile environment if I miss any opportunity to kill one of you.
Yeah, I will try my best.
But
would we be able to would we understand that as a pilot and our systems knowledge, knowing that movement's imperative in a system like this?
I would say yes, because you're experienced enough. Maybe if you were like rookies, probably not, but because I would say that you can see, and the way that I would represent that narratively is these lava domes are much bigger and spewing hot magma. So it's actively dodging splashes of magma and, swooping strange creatures and things of that nature. So it's more of like, if you stand still, you're going to get hit by something.
If that's the case and there's one enemy there, I forget how this works. Is there like an initiative?
So there is. Yeah. So the way that the Mech Hack initiative works is basically you're going to all roll your initiative. And again, at any point, I know the guy who wrote this game. So Matt, if I get this wrong, please correct me. The basically initiative has 2 sides. You roll and I roll. there is the people who go before the enemies and the people who go after the enemies. So you're basically going to match it off of my initiative roll. So it's the roll under, but you're trying to beat what I roll. Did I get that right, Matt?
You don't roll, Tim.
Oh, I don't? So
Nope.
Oh, so you roll under your mobility. And if you fail...
Or system.
Gotcha. And if you fail, you go after the monsters.
Yep, that's it.
Gotcha.
I got an 8, so I go before.
I am not rolling well. I go after.
Yeah, same. I rolled an 18.
All that bionics and for what?
I go after as well.
Dwight, do you feel comfortable keeping track of initiative for me?
I can.
Yeah,
Yep.
basically, I was just thinking
let's
like
see.
before and after would be nice. Like before, after.
Who's the one that got before? Okay.
I got before.
Did you? Okay.
Am I the only one?
No,
I redid as well.
Yeah,
so.
you and Adrian, and yeah, yep.
Me and the intern.
I think it's becoming clear why Zero is mostly robot. He just rolls really poorly and dies a lot.
That's fantastic.
It's an endless cycle. You add more robotics after every fail.
And I am actually going to be using a reskinned monster from the new mission manual. I'm not going to tell you what it is until it kills you. No.
Please
All right.
murder me.
So, anyone who rolled under your mobility, you decide between yourselves what order you take.
I'm going to follow your lead, boss.
Okie doke. So, Zombie looks over to Vulcan as they get in here, and he goes, "Can you tell me exactly what happened?" And I assume you tell me the information that we learned about us being the past, because I don't know how I would have recognized that myself. And then upon hearing that and seeing another tunnel, I'm gonna zombie coyote gets down on all fours and starts ramming straight for the Stegosaurus, and you can hear the chainsaw blades whirring up on his axe face. And I am
what a
going
phrase.
I am going to use a move action and an attack action if I can be so bold.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it, Axe Face.
Axe face. I test power, right?
So in this case, yes.
Okay. So I attack. I got a 15. My power is 19. And now I have the great axe as my weapon, so it's +2 to attack. So it's a 17 total. I still make that.
Okay.
And I am going to take a reactor roll. And the camera like shoots into Coyote's chest, where you see this heart pumping this viscous glowing fluid mixed with what looks like a pacemaker.
Ooh.
In the heart of the kaiju mech. And I'm gonna roll the D8. Wow, got a 1. Not great.
Well,
all right. So,
I was going to say, I was going to make you, because you have an overactive reactor, I was going to make you roll twice and take the worst result, but that's as bad as it can get.
yeah, I have an overactive reactor? What do you mean?
So in the volatile environment, anytime a mecha would roll their reactor die, they must roll it twice and take the worst result.
Don't get much worse than that.
Don't get much worse than that. Yeah.
But
right, that's fine, because you...
Yeah, regardless, I still get to use the extra damage, right? Like, it's just I have to take the reactor roll, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that is 2d12s. And the total is 17 points of damage.
Jeez and crackers. What game is this? Okay.
Mecha hack.
Well, this the hybrid is the hybrid and the Colossus are absolutely ridiculous in this game.
It's phenomenal.
Is what I'm figuring out in running these sessions.
So the Describe to me what it looks like as you just obliterate this crystalline flesh triceratops.
So running straight for it, there is not a moment of hesitation as zombie coyote kind of just roars straight through the creature, and you hear this horrific grinding of meat and crystal and metal as this creature just lets out a death shriek, and it is rended in half as Coyote keeps running through to the tunnel, and he says, "What are you all waiting for? Let's go."
That's fantastic, and that was a very good death shriek, by the way.
Thank you.
That was great. So there is one of these remaining. So now you already took your movement and you already took an attack, so you can't quite jump through the tunnel all the way, but you're very close to it, and you destroyed half of the creatures. So there's one remaining, but that everyone can jump through. There's an opening. Who else acts before the creatures? Anyone else?
Yeah, Ivory. So he's running after Zombie. But you have to imagine, like, he looks like a kind of more traditional mech, but he's kind of leans forwards when he's running because he's got this giant, big crate backpack on it, which is kind of makes him not super agile. But as he's running, he kind of skirts around the surviving one, passing the dead or the Stegosaurus, and his torso twists, and he tries to grab one of the spines and tries to yank it off if he can.
Okay. Because of that, and because of how, well, I'm thinking mobility, because you're not just, you're trying to do some twisting, grabbing, like dexterous stuff. So give me mobility.
Okay, that's a fail. So he gives it a couple tugs, and then he just lets go, and then his torso kind of spins back around as his legs keep moving forwards towards the Verilian tunnel. And he's like, "Man, I really wanted that one." With my movement, can I make the jump, or would that be a next turn thing?
I'll say that depending on where you landed, I'll say that you can you can try to make the jump if you want to, because you really didn't move a ton to get to that, Okay.
So he is going to try to make the second jump then.
Okay. Go ahead and give me your, it's going to be either, mobility or a system to get through the jump correctly, like however you want to narrate that.
Yeah, mobility.
Okay.
That's a fail. So how does one fail to make a jump? I'm actually not sure.
I would imagine that the reality is hazing around you, and it's much like what you're seeing is a moving target, even though it doesn't appear to be.
Oh, okay.
Almost like a pool of water that is upended. So it's sort of like sloshing and waving and tearing and moving. So I would imagine that when you go to jump, there's this shift and you sort of just jump past it. Like you don't hit anything, you just jump past the hole and now it's behind you.
Yeah. So he skids on his feet and kind of looks back, and every time that he's moving, his head doesn't swivel very much. The whole torso swivels. So for him to look back, it kind of rotates a little, and he's like, "Dang it!" And then he tries to get back in position to run from the other direction, but that's his turn.
All right. Who else? Anyone else, or is everyone else after the monsters?
Yeah, none of the rest of us were good at initiative.
So,
or anything.
Lethargic, yeah.
or anything else.
or friggin' anything.
We just kind of looking around as we step through.
Well, I got to try my recharge 5 or 6 off the jump.
Yeah.
Nope. Lucky. All right. So there is a charge as this thing looks for probably the most familiar thing to it. And that would be, I think, probably Zombie Coyote. But it is confused. And it sort of stops and waits. and becomes enraged in a way and stabs toward Dark Harmony. Probably the most thin, like wiry that's in range. Dark Harmony, give me a mobility check test.
Okay. That is a pass.
Okay, so this thing swipes at you and misses. I am going to narratively give it a reactor because the creature has a reactor in the reskinning. So I'm going to say that this thing pushes itself. All right, and we're good to go. All right, so it now takes a swipe at the next thinnest, slightest target, Vulcan 0, mobility.
It's a pass with a 5.
All right, describe to me what it looks like as this thing tries to attack you and misses.
So I imagine that it swipes at Dark Harmony, and then it kind of rotates, and it has this tail that's covered with these like crystalline sort of spikes, and it whips this tail around, and it like does like a Zack Snyder like slow motion, and inside the cockpit, Zero's sitting there, and on the HUD there's an arc with like a bunch of numbers, and he just like calculates where the tail is going to swing based on its arc, and he just sort of like sidesteps just slightly, and it like actually grazes the nose of the mech. It just goes and there's like a little tiny spark that comes off, and then the tail swings harmlessly off to the side.
That's fantastic. Onyx Sunset, roll me a d4 and tell me what the result is, please.
That'll be a 3.
All right. Describe to me what it looks like as reality shifts around you again, and then I will tell you what it turns into.
So I think as we've all we're stepping through the
You're
tunnel,
trying.
right?
You're trying.
Trying
No
to?
one has quite made it through yet, though.
Okay. So everything just kind of just goes wavy. And it's almost like we start to see 2 and then 3 of everything. They start to form back together and then split apart, and they're kind of moving around so that, it's like we can see it's almost like reality's breaking apart. We're seeing the different realities as they kind of move in and out of each other.
And they do. And it's shifting, and it starts to almost like someone's taking these really quick photos. Blackness. You're no longer standing on a prehistoric ground. You are all floating in the endless chasm of worlds and the divider of civilizations, the vacuumous, infinite void of space. You see the Verilian tunnel shimmering off in the distance. There are 2 new conditions to this environment. Now you can move 3-dimensionally. So mecha and space environments, you can move in any direction, and you can use your maneuvering thrusters, right? But it also means that you can get attacked from above, below, anywhere. So you have to really pay attention. The other thing is it's vacuum sealed. So if you take critical damage, you have to test system, or you're going to lose life support for 1d4 rounds, and you'll be disabled until you take a use action, make a systems test, and repair your breach. So 3-dimensional movement, and you have to stay vacuum sealed. Okay. Now, immediately, though those creatures are gone, and each one of these environments, by the way, has this awesome hazards table so that you can really make it feel like those things are occurring. And so right now I just rolled on the space environmental hazards. And immediately this shift, this pulse, and this change of reality has caused this huge surge of radiation. Everyone needs to roll presence or resist 2d6 radiation damage.
Pass.
My presence is a 9, but I rolled a 6. So
Nice.
I failed mine.
Ditto. 14 on a 12.
Ah, so close. That's 2d6 damage.
I took 8 damage.
Yikes.
I have to have you beat at 10.
Wow, good job, intern. You're doing great.
So what you can see, and the reason why I actually had you all give me a landmark is because I wanted to thread them through each of these landscapes. And so now what you see is the debris of space is littered with these chunks, these, maybe they're moons, maybe they're asteroids, but those rings of meteors especially are three-dimensionally, rings of meteors are just sailing by you. And so anyone who tries to make it through the Verilian tunnel has to make a mobility or systems check or take damage as you get through the tunnel.
You said a mobility or a systems check?
Mobility or systems. And I would take that as your, as you have your Vulcan Zero who's like, or someone like Dark Harmony who's just like,
Tokyo drifting. God,
Tokyo
I failed
drifting.
again. What
Yes.
was the damage?
and we're officially, we can officially be out of initiative since now that this is based off of your own pilot abilities. So I'll leave it up to you all to kind of be fair with the spotlight and take turns. So whoever didn't go that last scene, I would probably say, let's go ahead and have you go first.
So Onyx, being a longtime veteran, and things have been going really, really well for him so far, gets kind of cocky as he starts to head towards this tunnel. Kind of like maybe turns and looks behind him, and just kind of like with his 3 arms, kind of just a 3-arm shrug. And I rolled a nat 20.
Oh,
Immediately after commenting on how my dice were rolling, by the way, so just don't ever do that. So I think he just gets pummeled with these meteorites as he starts to just do this like backwards float towards the tunnel while he's shrugging.
yeah. So that's immediately going to be a d6 damage from a meteorite hitting you. But don't forget, thanks to the Mecha Hack mission manual, we're in the vacuum of space, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get this wonderful, beautiful vacuum sealed roll. So you also have to test system or you lose life support for 1d4 round.
Thankfully, my dice have come back to me, and I rolled a 3 on system, so
Perfect.
I'll take that. So I took 4 damage. Yep.
And I think
And that's going to.
Okay.
I'm going to apply that to my armor.
Got it.
So.
And I imagine that your life support takes a hit and you get a quick sort of, but you're able to like divert some armor or shields right before it hits, and you're back. Who's next?
If I could, I was gonna, as we're like flung into space and Vulcan Zero was kind of like just spinning as we like went into space as he was dodging this attack from this dinosaur, which is a sentence I never thought I would be able to say, but I'm glad that I just did.
In a Mecha game, no less.
Yes, yeah. He very quickly calculates and he'll vent a little bit of oxygen out of the cockpit to just thrust towards Zombie Coyote. And I am going to, as a use action, I'm going to upgrade his reactor by 1 step and then roll my reactor die. So your reactor goes back up to a D8 and mine goes down to a D6.
My man.
Thanks.
So
He's a bionic.
Yeah. So, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to do that thing that bionics can do, and I'm going to reduce my armor points instead of downgrading my reactor. So, I come up to Zombie Coyote, or I float towards him rather, and this little like coiling sort of appendage kind of comes out and like plugs into Zombie Coyote, and I send a little burst of power into his reactor, and then very quickly reroute coolant to mine to keep it from downgrading, and say, your reactor is now back up to maximum. Proceed as normal, Commander.
And Dark Harmony is going to just fire those jump jets and go directly to the gate. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And I rolled a 4. So happiness.
That's perfect.
I actually passed this time.
That's fantastic. And so because you roll a 4, you not only get through the gate, you don't take any damage. And can you please, as you're the one who goes through, can you please roll me a d6? Because space is dangerous.
That's a 3.
A 3. As you jump through, it's just in time for the space debris that begins to come hurtling, probably from a destroyed planetoid or fleet, and nothing in the vacuum of space. There's no friction, and this has probably been hurtling for hundreds of miles, destined to hit all of you. So this debris, ironically, is probably maybe even some nice scrap. Everyone roll me mobility to dodge and avoid 1d8 damage as this hurtling shrapnel crashes into your mecha.
Yeah, that's no. Said 1d8.
1d8 damage. And if you could, narratively, just give me the location where this debris hits and sticks into your mecha.
So I like to think that as Onyx got all cocky and got hit with these meteorites, it kind of threw him. Maybe he's like tumbling into the tunnel, and as this debris is, he doesn't even see it, and it just smacks right off of his back and lodges into like his upper shoulder on his back, and that's 6 points of damage. That will, again, I'll divert the first part of it to my armor. And, okay.
I also failed.
Oh.
Yeah, I think several of us did. Ivory Edge, from taking the radiation damage from first getting like transported into space, all his alarms are now going off. And so there's like red lights flashing in his cockpit. Everything's kind of changed color. And he's not panicked by this, because again, he's triggered alarms on accident before. It's no big deal. The fact that there's actual damage is just something he's going to fix. So while he's going around getting kind of his toolkit out and kind of programming the system to like vent out any fires or anything, he shifts his gearbox and the torso rotates, and then a meteorite hits it in the face of the cockpit. And because he's in 3D, the whole mech starts to spin end over end. And he takes full 8 damage, reducing him down to 3 hit points. And he is spinning and rotating, just trying to right himself. And by kind of putting his thrusters on full, he's able to stop the spin and kind of right himself. And it just takes a moment. The alarm's just so blaring and everything's red. And he's like, oh, shit.
Well, that's happening to him. One of the scraps is like a long, like flat piece, and it Vulcan just reacted or upgraded Zombie's reactor, and he looks at him and he goes, Vulcan, can you figure out what the hell is? And it slides straight through Zombie Coyote, dealing 4 damage, and he hurtles in the direction. He goes, what the hell is going on?
I think Matt and I both passed. So.
You did, yes. And so, essentially, the portal still lies ahead, this Verilian tunnel. Dark Harmony, you have jumped through. Now, the rest of you, you will have to make a mobility or a systems test to get through. And remember, if you miss, you not only don't make it through the tunnel, but meteorites hit you.
I made it this time.
Nice.
Yeah, I did not make this one.
Oh man, this might. You're getting close to dead. Not dead, but
He's not far. Closer than I'd like to be. You said that was at a D4?
which part?
The damage from the meteorites?
Meteorites. I thought I said a D6.
Was it D6?
I might have said a D4. Does anyone remember? Who's DMing this game?
It's a D6, you said.
Okay, I thought
I took a D8.
You took a D8 from something else. There's a space hazard as well.
That was the ship
Space
shrapnel.
debris. So there's a lot of stuff flying around in space.
Somehow it all coalesced onto us at this exact moment.
It's almost like it was destiny. Onyx Sunset, are you still standing?
Yeah, still there.
Okay.
Luckily, I built a nice tanky
Destiny
build,
mines.
so
This place is cursed.
So that leaves definitely Vulcan Zero. Did you make it through the portal or just dodge the space debris?
So I made my my system test. Did I need to make another test?
No, if you made your system test, you were able to navigate and go into
Cool.
the portal. So that just leaves Ivory Edge, I believe, and Zombie Coyote, right? Or did you make it this last time?
I made my test, but I would like to instead have Zombie Coyote hurtle towards Onyx and throw him into the
Dope.
the tunnel.
That's dope. If you can describe to me what it looks like and
Okie doke.
make it make sense, I won't even make you roll for that.
So as he got slammed by the shard of the ship, he gets knocked into an asteroid and he's shaking himself off and he sees Onyx get pelted again and he's like, this is fucking bullshit. And he jumps off of the asteroid, hurtling towards him, and at the last second grabs on with his claws and uses his maneuvering thrusters to twirl and then yeets him into the into the tunnel.
Yeets him. So from your thrusters and the sheer just the even in space with the lack of friction and the ability to as you hurl him in, you yourself fly in as well.
Hey, thank you.
And as all of you are hurtling through this Verilian tunnel, we're going to take a very short break. Everyone go grab a drink, use the restroom, kiss your significant other, and I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody. Please stick around, and if you haven't already, visit the link in the description to check out the Mecha Hack Mission Manual. We'll be back in 5. Thanks so much, everybody.
This is how zombie coyote eat.
We are back on stream. We're gonna jump back in a moment here, but I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who's hanging out, first of all. And Dwight was just talking about, and so was Aaron was just talking about how the new Mecha feel, and I can't agree more. These new chassis and the new pilots create for some really cool, like, just mix and matching, even from original Mecha Hack, you know? So I'm really digging the way that they play. Because this is the first time I played in a game with the new chassis. So I'm like, wait, what? You can do what now? Who wrote this
Which by
book?
the way, my favorite pilot is the Merc. Starting off with an additional module. Ooh.
It's tasty.
Yeah, it's almost a little too good.
Listen, Matt. Don't you take that away from me. Don't you do that.
No, I won't. The thing with Mecha Hack is that I don't know, everything's good. Like there's very little bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I don't get super worried about it in terms of like things being like broken or too powerful, just because like most of the time you're playing with people who are just there to be a big stompy robot. So yeah.
I find myself when I'm GMing games, I'm often playing around with the bad guys anyways. You know, unless you're playing with minis on tables, nobody really knows what their hit points are or what's going on. So I nerf things and tweak things to keep the story fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, by the way, too, the what I was using in terms of the monster, we have this. So the Verilians, the tunnels that we were talking about, they're a little more featured, and we played around with their lore a little bit in Mission Manual, a lot of it by the end. But one of the enemies I was using was a Verilian Guardian, which is this like ancient alien mecha. And so, but I reskinned it as a crystalline dinosaur, and so yeah, it turned out really well. And
I liked it.
Yeah, it was neat. It's cool. So even if you get this book just for the new enemies, there's some really fun thematic stuff in here. We have the funnel drones that Matt has talked about on stream before. Kaiju Dismantler, which basically pulls apart mecha. Just some really cool stuff. So definitely check it out.
There's also new enemies that spawn other enemies. Like there's the carrier that can spawn interceptors every turn, or there's the Kaiju Brood Queen that can create I think it's Kaiju spawnlings every turn.
Yep.
Fun stuff like that. I love stuff like that. Like that's just my favorite, where it's like, do we focus on the swarm of enemies or do we take out the big guy? Like, I don't know. It creates like decisions that have to be made during the combat. So
I took, you mentioned those dismantler arms. I took those for this game, which will be interesting if I ever actually get to swing at anything.
Yeah.
Which might
those dismantler arms are fun. I can't remember what inspired that, but there was something I was watching where like something was like pulling stuff apart and like integrating it into itself. And I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a cool concept. Yeah. And you know, the other thing is that with some of these enemies, like some of their recharge abilities are very powerful. So if you get lucky, it could just like, and that feels really neat. That, you know, I could tell that, you know, we didn't shy away from, you know what, this thing, if it hits its dragon's breath, essentially, you going down.
Well, it was like, with the Mecha Hack core book, like some of the enemies, like we weren't sure exactly, like we'd done play testing, but you know, we hadn't played a ton. So it was like, I feel like we went a little soft on the enemies in Mission Manual. I'm like, I know that Mecha can take it. So it's like, there's some pretty beefy, like high damage sort of enemies in it. And there's like enemies that get stronger if there's more of them together. And there's also I think my favorite are Tim, you can remind me what they're called. I think they're the Aegis and the Gladius mecha.
Yes,
they're like
yes,
in the higher tier.
Yes.
where one of them is a shield and one of them is a sword, and if they're together, they make each other stronger.
It's so
Those are really cool.
It's so good. Yeah. One of my favorites too is that so we play around with giving the factions sort of their elite guard as well. So you have like the Aeon Primarch for the Aeonic Primacy, and then we have like the Neo Paladin for the Neo Dominion. These sort of paragons, they show up and it's a war, and I really love that we leaned into that pretty hard.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to be a little bit more like into giving the faction stuff, because I feel like the factions really kind of, because like Lodestar Alpha was like one of the last things we wrote for the original book. We were like, we should put a setting in here, like people like, because people don't necessarily know like what they want to run giant robots in, so it was like we should put a little mini setting in here. And so with because people like Lodestar Alpha, I was like, I want to have more like thematic enemies. So there's like there's low level for all of the factions. So there's like the Aeon Diode and the Neo Knight, and then the Terran Grunt, I think they are.
I think so.
And then you have and then in the higher tiers you have the Aeon Primarch, the Neo Paladin, and then I think it's the Terran Mammoth, I think is the big Terran guy.
Yes, that is. And it's also fun to put, so when you're writing a book like this, because we're not writing a full-blown setting guide, you can get really handsy with just dropping big names into a mission of like the Terran Mammoths. And you're like, oh, but that's a thing now. The Neo Paladins. Yeah, that's a thing. The Primarchs. Yeah, let's do that. So it's fun to write a crazy mission and then figure out what those enemies are that you named.
Yeah.
Like, it's really fun. And I'm just making sure, Adrian, are you there and muted, or are you not there yet?
He gave you a message in the Zoom chat.
Oh, I didn't see the Zoom.
He's on a call.
I was checking Facebook like mad, like, oh, I hope everything's okay.
Yeah, he said if you need to start, go ahead, and he'll
got it. Okay, cool. So I will go ahead and do that. And then please, if anyone can just keep an eye on if he unmutes that camera when we all go into a Verilian tunnel. And I'll try to. I'll try.
So he was. It shouldn't, because he's last to join, and he's also the. So it shouldn't mess with it at all. So.
All right, perfect. All right. So, as you hurtle through this Verilian tunnel, you see the end. You see home. As reality begins to shift around you, sounds begin to mix cacophonously. You begin to warp, screech, rattling, and your mecha begins to shake. And I want each of you to go through and give me what is the thing that keeps you anchored in reality. These are the things that, even shaken to your dimensional molecular core, have kept you firmly rooted, no matter the alternate timeline. This could be a joyful memory. Maybe it's a traumatic memory. Maybe it's your undying devotion to your cause, or the immeasurable love you have for someone in your family or something. Who wants to begin and tell me, what is the reality anchor that keeps you from dissipating into the Verilian tunnel?
I think Dark Harmony is sort of anchored. Well, Eva is anchored by Dark Harmony, really, is what it is. And she can remember when she found the remains of an Aeon mech and kind of started working on it with her dad. And that is like this wonderful family childhood memory of bonding time with him and learning from him. And he was an engineer and made it into a, the mech that it is today by stripping everything pretty much off of it. Oh, hello, cat. Yeah, so that was the bonding moment, which the cat has now shoved out of my brain. Hooray.
I like to imagine that there's a cat in your mecha now. That doesn't have to be canon, but that's how I'm going to imagine it.
Oh, there totally is.
That's wonderful. And so, yeah, you see, and the rest of you will have the same experience where you see all of these multitudinous memories that could have happened. But you focus in on the real one that you'll never forget. That thing comes into focus. Who's next?
So Eli, as he starts to, mind starts to splinter, he starts to focus or look back on the times he had with Alex, who was his, went through basic training in the military together and have come up through the military ranks and left and started working with the mercenaries and then on to salvage crews, as they've shared this entire life together through mechs. And Alex has been gone for a number of years, but the memory of Alex and the plans that they had that never came to be are what kind of keep Eli focused on staying with it and doing those things they never got to do.
It's fantastic.
I think for Gavin, who pilots Ivory Edge, he is driven by such an intense focus to want to do a good job in his mech and in this crew, kind of being the intern and everything. And plus his alarms are still blaring and everything's flashing red in his mech. So that's a constant reminder to him that he's not doing a good job right now. I have to do this. And that's what's keeping him just kind of focused on that true reality.
Vulcan Zero is sitting in the cockpit and just cables and wires running from him into the mecha and blurring the lines of where the mecha ends and he begins. And for years now, they have been one and the same, but there's one piece of Zero that remains human. And as he's kind of sitting back against the crash harness and the mech is rattling around him and he's very quickly calculating trajectories and possible destinations and keeping track of everyone else on the fire team, he looks, and in the chaos, there's this moment of stillness in the cockpit where he sees a picture that is taped to the console, and it's this cat, and he sees this cat who he knows is waiting in his cabin back on the ship, and he thinks, if I do not return, who will feed him? And so he kind of grits his teeth a little bit, and for the first time in a long time, he tries to just hold on through sheer force of will rather than computer mechanical calculations.
In the cockpit of Zombie Coyote, there are lots of different trophies dangling around from different kills. Chelik, the actual pilot, he's draped in odd and strange leathers, and as the camera pushes into his head, you see He's much smaller than this very large man holding a huge rifle. The rifle cracks off, and Chelik looks towards where it was fired, and he sees a dead creature, and the man in front of him says, "And that's how you handle your problems. You either die or you live. He's dead, I'm alive. That means I'm the winner. You live by that, nothing's going to be able to hold you down." And as he's remembering the greatest memory that he's kept from his father, he grips tight, white knuckling the controls as he tries to push Zombie Coyote out of the tunnel.
And as all of these memories become clear in your mind, replaying as vividly as though they were happening, you hurtle from the tunnel. And for a moment, darkness. Then fires. Explosive volcanoes. What were once dogwood trees have become endless rows of fortified wooden spears to keep organic creatures from crossing the trenches. A dark fortress sits atop fields of these organic crystals, now thrumming with energy and powering an enormous machine in the center of where you're landing. Behind that machine, or is it a fortress? It's both. You see the final Verilian tunnel. What would be the song of birds is absent, as only the harsh, tearing crackle of fires rain into your comms. Rings of meteors, blood red. But something else. These meteors are no longer constructs of the elements, but they bear strange glyphs that hover around them. No, not glyphs, calculations. Mathematics, probabilities. And with each meteor that courses behind this fortress, you would realize the perfect form of the Mecha, Vulcan Zero, sits before you. Having taken over this reality, this alternate reality, realizing his humanity, his cat was not important. And Vulcan Zero Prime immediately calls out to you, Zero. You are weak. I have made us strong. And from on the sides of this alternate reality, Vulcan Zero, there is an alternate zombie coyote, Dark Harmony, Ivory Edge, and Onyx Sunset. In this reality, something changed. Something was different. And then Vulcan Zero says, "All things lead to darkness. Let me show you." roll initiatives as you fight your alternate reality selves, because how else can we end it?
Zombie guy is gonna look over to Vulcan. We're gonna have a long talk when we get back.
I cannot be held responsible for the actions of my ulterior self.
I got a success on my mobility check.
Me as well.
Okay.
Looks like all of us did except Dwight.
Yeah, no, I rolled my number, which is better, but still not a success. So.
All right. So in this this crazy, like, futuristic, weird environment, the environment that we're going to use is the environment known as ruined. And so in a ruined environment, just think like post-apocalyptic and that kind of thing, there's tons of cover. So you can easily find cover in like bombed out vehicles, debris, and at my discretion, and if you narrate it well, I'll grant you advantage on mobility tests to hide. However, to try to detect enemies in this kind of environment, you actually have disadvantage on system tests. So there are other things that might be hidden. Guess what else, everybody? Salvage. So there are all kinds of opportunities for salvage. So each hour in a ruined environment, which we'll just say you can now if you want to, basically you can roll to see if you can gather up some salvage, if you're foolish enough to do that, even in the wake of your imminent doom. And then unfortunately, there's also unstable debris. So if you roll a nat 20 or a crit fail, it dislodges loose material and it topples a nearby structure, which can fall on people. So cover, salvage, and stuff can fall down is what you need to remember. All right, so who is going first? And I will warn you, I am not softballing any of this. Vulcan Zero in this reality has become very, very powerful, and so are all of you. So you can choose to stand and fight, you can choose to hide, you can choose to make it for the tunnel, but I'll leave that entirely up to you.
Can Ivory Edge spring into action very quickly right now, if anyone doesn't mind? So he's going to kind of emerge from the Verilian tunnel, and it's like, we made it. No, we didn't. Oh no, what is this place? And then his alarms are still going off, and everything's blaring in his mech still, and so it's getting to the point where it's like he's having trouble blocking it out. But he's going to kind of drop down onto his mech's knees, and he's going to do a code which is going to activate his shield nodes. And it says that at the end of my turn, I can choose to give a +1 mobility bonus to each ally within close or near range, which I feel like everybody is within that right now.
Yep, absolutely.
So I would like to do that and roll my reactor die to kind of coming from, I guess it would be just his torso, all of these kind of hovering little magnetic shield generators pop out, hover, and then just and click onto each of the other mechs. And that's a 3 for a pass on my reactor die, and everybody gets a +1 mobility bonus. And then from there, he's gonna like skid up against one of the walls and try to like hide up against it.
Okay.
As he's now looking down at his shattered mech and trying to think of what he can do next. But that's his turn.
It's fantastic. I also want to say, just so that everybody knows what you're going for if you're trying to escape, is that the Verilian tunnel that is behind this Vulcan Zero Prime is at distant range, which means that it's 3+ move actions. I'm actually going to make it 3. So you have to take 3 move actions to get close enough to that Verilian tunnel to get into it.
All right, I think Dark Harmony is going to go next. Now, I have a question about one of the modules I took. The long-range scanners that change what's close range and, or increase the range of stuff. Does that mean I can melee with somebody when I'm not close to them?
Take it away, Matt.
And does it mean that with the jump jets, I can now jump far?
So, the way that I wrote it is the melee attack, no, but the jump jets, yes, because it basically affects any pilot chassis or modules. So the jump jets, because it's a module, you can basically jump one range band farther than you would normally be able to. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so Dark Harmony is going to immediately go to the door because, she can. And, but she won't leave without the rest of the team. She's gonna, I think I have to roll a reactor. Where did I put it there? Yeah. And that's good. And then she's gonna use her static cloud. To hide, and would I still be close enough to attack the alternate Vulcan Zero?
Absolutely.
All right, then I'm gonna stabby at the alternate Vulcan Zero.
Do it big.
And I rolled 2 4s on my D4s, so that is 8 points of damage, and then I roll my reactor die and hopefully become hidden. Oh, and I have to test mobility somewhere there too.
Yes.
And I'm succeeding at everything.
Nice, Dark Harmony.
Yes. So she is now hidden right near the gate. And the static cloud, when she lands there, there's a bunch of stuff that's like debris and stuff that's nearby, kind of drifts up into the air as she slams down into the ground, and some of it pelts the edge of Vulcan Zero. I mean, this one is very big and powerful and stuff, so it probably doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but enough, and makes it really hard to see where she is.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, and I imagine this Vulcan Zero, and Matt, I'll let you get really handsy with the description of this if you want to change it. But it's the way I imagine it is like this sort of throne situation built of scrap. So it's not that this new Vulcan Zero is tethered down, but it's that it chooses to be jacked in, and is all of the scrap that would have been collected in this place is now serving as these larger pieces that house other mecha and things that it's built and stuff like that. So that definitely would hit.
Is it cool if I go next?
I think you should. I'll go after you. I'm going to try some dumb bullshit, so you should go first.
So Zombie Coyote gets onto his hind legs, and he looks over at the alternate Zombie Coyote, and he goes, "Are you serious? You let this fucking twat take over? Come on, man!" And he takes out these 2 clusters. And he throws both of them. I'm going to be using the same action twice, so I know I'm going to have to test my reactor, but I'm throwing 2 frag grenades at the Vulcan Zero. The evil one, not the good one.
I would hope, yeah.
All right. So testing my power, that's a success. And that one was a 1. The second one was a 1. And then I tested my reactor.
Nice.
Successful. Is anyone standing near Vulcan Zero?
I would say that the gate is probably not near. It's probably far from. So no.
No, is anyone standing near Vulcan Zero? Anyone? Like any of the other enemies.
Sorry.
Because I'm throwing frag grenades,
yeah,
so I want to hit...
Gotcha, yeah. I see what you're saying. I thought you were asking basically because Dark Harmony is close. So
okay, no.
At close range to the gate, which is, I think, far from Vulcan Zero. Now, in terms of that, I'll say, let's roll for it. Let's see if any of the other doppelgangers would be close. And so it's just going to be a simple roll of a D20. Okay, so I critically failed. So that is a 20 on the die. So I will actually say that as they leave their hangars, the doppelgangers of Onyx Sunset, Ivory Edge, and Zombie Coyote are all next to Vulcan Zero Prime.
Excellent. And I've thrown 2 frag grenades, so I'm going to roll for both of them. That one was 7 damage, and then I got a 1 on the second roll. Is that a critical? How does that work?
That is a critical. And so the way, Matt, in Mecha Hack, it's roll damage twice. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okie doke. Oof. The second grenade is 16 damage.
Oh, yikes. All right. Just mark that down here.
And as I throw them, I say, suck on these. Because I can't believe that I would ever bow down to Vulcan Zero. No offense, Vulcan.
Listen,
Untaken.
sometimes logic outweighs even the merc brain. No, I don't know.
I am incapable of taking offense.
That's phenomenal.
Is that sarcasm?
All right, so let me mark down that.
I am also incapable of sarcasm.
That's phenomenal. And are you moving at all? That was your attack.
No, I was using the same action twice.
Okay, got it. So okay, understood. All right, who's next?
I think that's me. I'm the last in the first group. So Vulcan Zero is carrying this this very large rifle that has this cable that is attached to the reactor inside, and he immediately his legs fold up and he goes into like hover rollerblade mode, and so he's like gliding forward. I'm going to use my Buster rifle. So this is a use action to charge it up, and then I'll have advantage on my next attack and an additional damage die. So there's this that starts emanating from this rifle, and there's like this cylinder in the center of it, almost like a revolver cylinder that just kind of starts spinning around, generating this intense amount of energy. So that's my first action. But as part of that action, I'm going to use my glide thrusters. When I take an action, I can choose to move to a near location as a free action without provoking opportunity attacks, and I have to roll my reactor die. So basically, I'm going to use my glide thrusters while the gun is charging to move behind cover, if possible, since we're in the ruined environment.
Absolutely.
And I got a 6 on my reactor die, so I'm good.
Nice.
And then for my second action, I'm going to fire the Buster rifle. So it's charged up. I basically glide behind cover, set it up on like a piece of wreckage, and I'm just going to fire it at my doppelganger. So I have an advantage on the attack, and if I hit, I get an extra damage die. And those are 2 successes, so that's going to be success. Let me roll. Oh, I only have 1d8. I'll just roll it twice. 5, 6, so a total of 11 damage. And there's just this and this stream of almost like lightning just arcs out of the barrel of this this rifle and strikes Bizarro Vulcan Zero, and that'll be my turn. Oh wait, I need to roll reactor die for my Buster weapon. Sorry, let me do that. I'm good. 4.
Nice. And so I think you know exactly where to hit, because you can look and calculate where you would place things, how you would do things, and so you're able to hit, and it's a devastating blow to yourself, which is now fully merged to the cockpit. Like, I imagine that Vulcan and Zero are no longer 2 separate entities, but one larger entity.
Yeah, he's just fully part of the mech now,
Yeah.
completely. Maybe not even with a physical body anymore, but just like more like a program inside the mecha.
Thinking the same thing. Yeah. In fact, maybe there's this like dried out husk, like the corpse, the skeletal sort of
Yeah, like the
still in the cockpit.
what was what was the guy in Game of Thrones, the Blood Raven guy that was fused with the tree? Yeah, that sort of
that
thing.
kind of deal. And so, dear viewers, we actually have someone who needs to leave the game. It was planned. So rather than just dropping out or being like, okay, see you later, what I was going to do is Zombie Coyote, even though you had those harsh words to say to future Vulcan Zero, my idea was you see current Vulcan Zero lining up that shot and you see this threat coming in and you sacrifice yourself. Oh, yes, maybe the zombie, yes. And you sacrifice yourself. Describe to me how and what it looks like as you give your life so that Vulcan Zero can make that shot.
So as I throw the 2 grenades, some of the other mech were like blown out of the way, and I was on the lookout for myself, but I couldn't see. And then all of a sudden, like a dog about to rip open something's throat, you see a Bizarro Zombie Coyote coming from the side, and I jump into the way, and the chainsaw axe head rips straight through, cutting off a part of my leg as it rips through the rest of my mech. And I'm just shocked, and I look back at Vulcan and I say, make it count. And before I die, I would like to use my exothermic plating.
Yes.
To do whatever I can before my life is ended. And you said this is hard mode, right?
Yes, I haven't really been playing that though. I mean, I was going to, and then so it's sure if you want it to be hard mode for your turn.
Explosive damage.
Sure. This special case, you get to do explosive damage.
Okie doke.
Especially because you're giving your life.
That's a total of 9 damage as my blood rips across zombie coyote. My zombie coyote's blood, not my blood specifically. And it starts melting apart whatever material it can get on.
Yeah, and I think you destroy your alternate self as it, between that whole attack and tearing it asunder, and the acid would specifically splash through a crack in the blast shield and actually kill the grizzled merc inside. Just
in my final moment, I just lift a middle finger at myself. You wank. And I die.
And there you go. And thank you so
awesome.
much.
Thank
you so much.
Me.
I don't know if this is at all possible. If it's not, I understand that it's an odd request. I don't know where you're going or what you're doing, but if it would be possible to just mute your camera and microphone until the stream ends, that would make my life very easy. Actually, don't mute your camera. If you could just mute your microphone.
Actually, Aaron, if you could just stay there, not go anywhere, that would be ideal.
But you're still dead. No.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had to deal with it before. I won't go nowhere.
No, you can as a person do whatever you need to do. But yeah, if you could just leave the camera on, that would be just super tasty.
Peace out, team. Sorry I couldn't stay.
No, you're great, man. That was fantastic. Hey, what's up, Jake from Mini Terrain Domain? All right. So is there anyone else who goes before the enemies in this initiative? I don't believe so. All right. So that leaves a mecha version of each of you to come tearing through asunder. And so just for the sake of radical sort of DC Comic-esque Justice League versus Dark Justice League, everyone's mecha doesn't fight each other. They all break off fighting a different versions because that's just a little cooler to have evil Green Lantern fighting the Flash. So Zombie Coyote, I'll just call them all primes as the alternate reality version. Zombie Coyote Prime is dead. Vulcan Zero Prime is upon its throne. That leaves Onyx Sunset, Dark Harmony, and Ivory Edge. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to randomly roll as it becomes each person's turn to see what happens. So, first, Onyx Sunset. You are the target of Dark Harmony Prime. And so you see this lithe figure slinking around, almost like a wisp of smoke. And then before you know it, it's gone. Then behind you. Roll a mobility check or be run through by Dark Harmony. Narratively.
That's a 6. So yeah, finally got a good roll.
Describe to me what it looks like as you take the upper hand in this fight.
So as Harmony Prime, what's Harmony attacking with?
In this
The melee
universe,
weapon?
I was going to say, in this universe, I was going to go with kind of like a variation of what Nicole had kind of skinned it as. Just very like assassin-y and like dark. So I'm thinking some kind of like awful like plasma dagger situation.
Okay. So Onyx is furiously, or Eli's in the cockpit, just furiously playing with the sensors, trying to find where Harmony Prime is gone. And all of a sudden, you see the third arm just reach out from behind him and grab the wrist of Harmony Prime as it tries to run him through from behind. And Eli had just caught her on the sensors before he got stabbed in the back.
Nice. That's fantastic. And so out of your periphery or in your sensors or whatever that like sort of HUD of yours is and that small top and those lanky legs, Dark Harmony, you can see this in your periphery and you're in your static cloud sort of hidden, you're obscured, but you see a sort of wisp of smoke. And we're going to see if Ivory Edge Prime can find you. So now the static cloud, can you remind me of the mechanics on that? You have advantage on mobility or everyone has disadvantage on finding you?
I'm hidden, so I don't know what that exactly means.
Well, it means you can't be targeted. So I would have to try to find you to target you, right, Matt? Is that how that works? Basically, I can't target her while she's hidden. So would it be...
So I think that if you're hidden, hang on, let me look. I wrote this game.
Yeah, that's right. I'm pretty sure it's you can't be the...
Okay, if you're hidden, you cannot be targeted attacks by attacks while hidden, but become immediately visible if you make an attack or can no longer reasonably be hidden. So it's kind of like up to you, Tim, but essentially she's can't be targeted or found unless something happens where she could be.
Yeah, and so narratively, the way that I would play that is that you stay hidden, so you're within the cloud. So Ivory Edge Prime is trying just this scrap.
He's
go ahead.
always trying.
I know, Adrian. I was going to say, Adrian,
Forever the intern.
If you want to tell me a little bit about what you think this sort of alternate version of yourself looks like, maybe just a quick description, and I'll play off of that.
I think he'd be very much Darth Vader-ified a little bit. Like inside his cockpit, instead of kind of having an orange jumpsuit, it's all black and shiny. And he's got a big old collar, and it looks like he tried to become an arch villain, yet he's still the bottom man on the totem pole. And so he's still trying to find his target of Dark Harmony. And he like skids around the corner with a big blade in his shield, and he's like, "Where are you? Crap!" And he's gonna just kind of like run by and keep trying to like looking behind stuff and just can't find you.
I love that, and I think you just probably would take some swings of just pure rage, just like this frustration of like, where are you? Show yourself.
100%.
And then, so that leaves the actual, so Ivory Edge, you are still there, but there's not really anyone in particular to attack you except Vulcan Zero sees you. Vulcan Zero Prime. And having just taken this enormous buster blast, stands from its throne and immediately charges you. So give me a mobility or power test as this massive sort of patchwork hyper bionic Vulcan Zero charges you.
Can I try to use the like short wall I was leaning up against to try to
100%.
help shield from the attack?
Yeah, 100%. Yep. And so the way the cover works is that you have advantage on any like mobility tests to avoid.
Okay.
So go ahead and so you'll have advantage on this.
So that's a pass with a 9 on a 12.
Okay. That's perfect. And it is technically ranged attack, but he was like, he's not like hitting you.
Oh,
with
I still want to like hide behind the wall then. So it's like.
That's perfect. And you barely make it as you see this modified buster just absolutely obliterating everything around you. Like, this is a deep cut, but it's like the Trigun intro where Vash is behind the wall and the entire thing gets mowed down, but his shape. That's exactly what happens. All right, we're back to anyone after. So, or no, sorry, the enemies went. Anyone after initiative gets to go. So whose turn is it?
That would be me.
Go for it.
So, so having deflected this stab in the back, Onyx turns, and as he does, all three, he reaches down, he reaches behind him with that third arm and pulls this axe from his back, and he grips it with all three hands. And the edges of the blades, they kind of light up. You hear this as this red glow emanates from this thermal axe, and I also have the Buster Overclock, and that red, it lights up at first, but then the whole axe just seems to glow with this red energy. You see these lines that look to have carved runes through it that start to glow red as it overcharges. And I'm going to go ahead and swing with that at Dark Harmony Prime. And that is, that's a 13, which passes. And I will roll my damage die twice.
Nice.
That is going to be 11 points of damage.
All right. So describe to me what it looks like as you remove one of the limbs from Dark Harmony Prime.
So I think so Onyx just takes this almost like this, he kind of cocks himself and takes this baseball swing and just hits Harmony Prime right in the hip, and this leg just goes flying as a connection just slices right through it.
And if you want to, just as like a weird, cool narrative thing, I'll let you grab that leg as salvage if you wanted to.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's cool.
This quick reaction as this leg comes off, and as I'm following through my third arm, it's on like a swivel on the back, so it just kind of comes all the way around. It goes all the way around his midsection and grabs that leg, that salvage leg, and just continues spinning, and then just like locks it into place on my back.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Who else was post enemy? That's it, right? All right. Back to the top of the initiative.
Well, I think Dark Harmony is going to reveal her existence and jump up with an attack at Vulcan Zero Prime, because he's still
nice, yes,
close enough for me to get him, right?
He would be.
Moving?
You'd have to move because he charged Ivory Edge. And even though he didn't make it all the way, he was close enough to shoot this modified buster. But yeah, you could definitely move and then attack.
Okay. Do I want to move and then attack, or do I want to just attack from range and then hide? I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Actually, I'm going to move. I'm going to move till I'm close, and then I'm going to engage my static cloud again. So yeah, she moves over to where he is now, and again slams down, and this dust cloud comes up and fails to hide her because she rolls her exact. Oh wait, do I still have the +1 to mobility?
From the Ivory Edge's situation? Yeah, I'd say yeah.
Okay, then yes, I do actually just manage to hide in it.
Nice.
And she's that's my static cloud, and so before the static cloud completely hides me, I attack twice on Vulcan Zero Prime. And that is going to be 4 points of damage.
Nice.
Oh, and I rolled a 1 on one of the damage dice. Are we actually playing hard mode?
No,
or?
I'll say no because
Okay.
I didn't enforce
Good.
it at the beginning. It was grand plans at the beginning, and then with the environments, it felt like one too many things.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'd rather focus on the environments.
Yeah.
That's why the rules are modular.
Ah, there you go, ladies and germs.
Yep.
So yeah, that's 4 points of damage, and then I need to roll my reactor die,
Yes.
and that's a 5. So I'm cool.
Beautiful. Okay. Who dies next?
Well, unless Vulcan Zero is going to take another shot, I think I'm going to just keep on crawling underneath the wall and then kind of pop up all of a sudden. And how close is Vulcan Zero Prime?
So
is he far to me or near to me?
I would say because of like where he was, he's probably far to both you and the portal. Like he's right in between.
Okay,
So,
he's
yeah.
in between. Okay,
I would
so
say
as long as he's not close, then
no. He's not close or near. He's far.
So I'm gonna pop up and in Ivory Edge's like torso and stuff. He's got these again machine type arms that can move up and down the body torso.
Ooh,
But in
nice.
the center, he's got his reactor, and then there's a whole bunch of little circular holes which open up, and some of them are still open from when he had shot the shield nodes. But the rest of them all kind of spin open, and then they reveal little warheads. And I'm going to use my missile barrage, and I'm going to be like, "You can't take me out, ha!" And I fire all the missiles, and they go, and I will roll my reactor die for that. And that's a pass with a 3, barely.
Nice. Barely.
And then I do 44 points of damage with the missile barrage. So that's a 1 and a 2 for 3. And a 4 and a 3 for, is that what, 10? 7 plus 3, so yeah, 10.
Nice.
10 points of damage from the missiles. And then I want to kind of vault over that short wall that I was doing and just start running towards the portal, which will bring me next to him, or near to him, I think. So now we're 1 move distance from
Yes.
Vulcan Zero Prime.
Correct. And you see that those, as you do attack and it strikes, you see that Vulcan Zero has underestimated you. Ivory Edge popping up and doing that. Perhaps Vulcan Zero just sort of shrugged it off like, ugh, and then looked to this counterpart, and that was a mistake. And then, and now he is, or it is very upset. So that I think leaves Vulcan Zero.
Yes. So I think what I'm going to do. So Vulcan Zero is sort of set up now behind this this cover. I'll even say that it's like a downed mecha. It's like this big rusted hulk of a mecha, and he's sort of set up behind it with this rifle. And he is tracking Vulcan Zero Prime as Vulcan Zero Prime uses those glide thrusters, the same ones that Vulcan Zero has to glide towards Ivory Edge. And he's tracking him with this scope on this gun, and he switches to not charge up mode, but semi-automatic mode, and starts firing off these bursts of and I imagine the shots are popping off near where Vulcan Zero Prime is. And so Vulcan Zero Prime is sort of like skidding, like doing like a little zigzag serpentine thing, and the shots are just going pow, 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 sending debris up into the air. I'm gonna do 2 attacks with my Buster rifle here. So first one is that +2 of the heavy got me. It would have been a success if it wasn't a heavy weapon. Okay, and then the second attack is a hit. So before I roll my damage, let me go ahead and roll my reactor for doing the same action twice.
Yep.
Downgrades to nope. I'm gonna spend armor points instead.
My man.
That puts me down to 1 armor point. Okay, and then I had 1 successful attack with that's 9 damage, 7 on the die +2 for the heavy weapon. So and then finally I get like a beep, 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 beep. Like I get the like double crosshairs, like anime style, like floating across the HUD, and then both of them come together. Beep, 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 beep. And I take the shot, and it knocks Vulcan Zero Prime off course, and he kind of like almost does like a somersault as he tanks that damage, and pieces of him just start flying off as the shot hits him. And that'll be my turn.
Yeah, and he rolls like it eventually knocks him off his feet. And then he does this sort of like shoulder roll where it's like and knocks this huge pillar out. And because we're in this ruined environment, what this is going to do is this is basically going to knock a building down. And so anyone who would be considered at near range, which I don't think is any of you, would have had to roll the 2d6 damage. But
yeah, I'm because I moved up. The way that I have it, I'm going based off of the movement chart. So I am a near compared to his far. So that's 1 range meter.
So that's a mobility test or 2d6 damage.
And I'm close, I think, because I ran up.
Oh, that's right, and did the static cloud. So that is also, and you're not hidden. So, or are you hidden?
I'm really sorry that I dropped a building on you.
It's a good way to go out.
Maybe I'm the evil one.
Oh, I think hidden would still get a building crashed on it because it's not the target of an attack. It's a mobility test versus a building.
Yeah, does it make me not hidden now?
I would say it'd make you more hidden if you survive.
That's true. As long as I stay still. Okay, so it's 2d6, you said?
Mobility or 2d6 damage.
Mobility. Let me do the mobility. Okay, I passed. Never mind.
Meanwhile,
Ivory Edge, you still alive? You still alive over there?
No, 3 hit points and I take 7 damage. Tell me what happens.
Okay, so in Mecha Hack, I never dropped a mech, so I have to look it up. You are disabled, I believe. Right? Disabled. When you reduce to 0, your mecha becomes disabled. A disabled mecha cannot take actions until repaired and automatically fails all tests. When you become disabled, you have to roll a d8 for me.
Okay, so 1d8.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I should say that my scrap from the beginning was barely functional warheads or something. Barely functional munitions and ordnance, and that's in my backpack.
Good.
Perfect. So I rolled it as 6. So
okay, so what I'm rolling on is in the original Mecha Hack. When you become disabled, there's a disabled mecha chart, and a 6 means that you're severely damaged. You have disadvantage on all tests until you complete a long rest. So even after you get up, you are very badly damaged. I will say the classic sort of all the warheads spill out, and one of the heads of one goes, but doesn't ignite right away. But there's this warhead beeping. Doot, doot, doot.
am I like pinned down from a big chunk of building?
If you want to do that to yourself, I feel like I've already done so much.
I feel like I'm like pinned down, whether it's a huge piece or not. But if I'm disabled, then
Yeah.
I imagine like the warhead just rolls in front of the cockpit, and you can see that the armed light is on, and the alarms in his mech stop. Actually, just it's gotten to a point where the power is just cut, and so the red lights stop flashing, and just kind of emergency lighting kicks in, and it's just a steady red. But the alarms die, and it's just like, and a second later, airbags go off, and then that's it.
That should be on the gadgets table. The cold of your cockpit slowly begins to heat up as these volcanoes are surging all around you. And then I think it's now the bad guys, right?
Yep.
You see a dead Vulcan Zero Prime. Headless from that shot. Sit bolt upright. The head is meaningless. The pilot is meaningless. It is a full consciousness. And with a voice coming from who knows where, it turns back and looks at the tunnel and says, "This ends now. It all ends in darkness." And it uses these thrusters to start charging up its buster and head straight for the Verilian tunnel. And as it gets toward this tunnel, it begins to sort of emit this strange energy, and you see the tunnel start closing. And that will be Vulcan Zero Prime's turn. And that portal is closing soon, folks. I'm not going to tell you how soon, but this D4 is going to tell me. Really, really soon. And that'll be the bad guy's turn. Actually, I'll say narratively that just to save on time, that the other mecha will post up to protect Vulcan Zero Prime. So, Onyx Sunset, I will let you have an opportunity attack on Evil Dark Harmony.
That'll be with a three-handed. Oh, you know what? No, because I was using my hand for the salvage. So that'll just be a regular two-handed. So, but that's still going to be fine. So I rolled a 6 plus 2 is an 8. And we're going to go. That's going to be 8 points of damage.
Okay. Describe to me what it looks like as you not just destroy, but obliterate Dark Harmony Prime.
So as my axe slices through, the Dark Harmony Prime just shatters and pieces go flying, and you see again that third arm just starts reaching out, and I let go of the axe with one hand. I'm reaching out and grabbing pieces, and then as I do, you see this section in my just below my reactor core in my belly opens up, and I start putting the armor pieces from this. From Harmony Prime, and I'm going to roll my reactor die here, which is good. Roll 7, and so I get to regain armor points up to max HD for Harmony Prime using my dismantle arms.
Nice. Oh, that's tasty. Yes, you're just like. That's awesome. Like just putting it in.
Totally have spare parts for me now. Yay. Do I get an opportunity attack when
you do?
Vulcan Zero moves, the evil Vulcan Zero
You
moves
absolutely
towards the
do.
gate?
That was going to be my next order of business. So you 100% do. Yep.
Okay, sorry. I'll let Onyx finish.
Yeah, I just need to know how many points I get to add back to my armor. Yeah, you see this as I'm shoving these pieces into my midsection, and that the door closes, and that red glow from my axe, you see it start to ripple through this black shimmering armor that I have, and it just has this slight red glow to it as I recharge my armor.
And I'm not familiar with that module, so do you roll for that, or do I literally?
Nope.
tell
It says
you?
I get
Up to max, right?
Up to max. Yeah, I'm guessing it's
Gotcha.
hit dice. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, what's the hit dice for your bad guys there?
Oh, so
That's what I get to add. Yep.
I understand. I thought you meant your hit dice, and I was wondering.
Nope.
I'm like, okay, but
Enemies
no.
hit dice.
Yep. So you're actually fighting hit dice 6 creatures.
Sweet.
You're fighting a reskinned Verilian Goliath, is what you're fighting.
All right, so then I get my opportunity attack. Yay!
Yay!
I'm so excited. And I roll under. Yay! So I'm doing a mobility test. I'm assuming that's how I attack. Oh wait, if it's a close attack, is that melee? Is that not mobility?
So I mean, the truth of it is, I will let you roll whatever is favored for you, because the Vulcan Zero Prime has taken caution out of the equation that it sees, so is moving very fast. So you can either strike while it is closest, or you could have waited half of a second because you're a good enough pilot. So whatever you want to do, melee or ranged is fine with me.
I think I will do ranged, and because I've got the ambush module or whatever, the chassis thing, I get an extra D6 because I was hidden, and that is 7 points of damage. And yeah, now I'm not hidden, but that's fine.
No, that's fine. And Vulcan Zero
whatever.
Prime is looking really beat up, and just shreds of these bionic wires are spilling from everywhere. Okay, I believe that is... so that's the 2 opportunity attacks as he takes his, and nobody is left after. Or no, Onyx Sunset, you go after,
Yeah,
right? So it's
White
your
goes.
turn. So yeah, now that you have had your opportunity attack, you can take your proper turn. I think, Dwight, it's your turn, right? Because you had an opportunity attack just then, but I think, weren't you after?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No.
No, you're good. You're good.
Spacing out here. So yeah. Then question: are the modules single use per rest, or are they persistent? Unless
They're persistent.
persistent. Okay. So I'm going to yep. So then I just start running at and so we just got the 3 of them left, right? Or is there just 2?
So right now there's 2. There's
Okay.
Ivory Edge Prime, who is
Mhm.
sort of guarding, like with weapons aloft, as
Okay.
Vulcan Zero Prime is now trying to go toward the Verilian tunnel and seal it with these strange energy signatures.
And what's the distance? Because I've not moved since we first came through. So what's the distance from me to Zero Prime?
So from kind of where everyone has been in the range bands, you would probably be far.
Okay. So then I'm going to move to Ivory Edge Prime, because I'm assuming that's going to be near.
Correct.
Or that also be okay.
Nope. Near.
So I'll move to Ivory Edge Prime, and again I'm just going to take a 3-handed swing with this energy axe, and that's a 2. So that is 9 points of damage.
Yikes. All right. My man.
Take me out.
And
Ivory
so-
Edge Prime has an upgraded backpack, by the way.
Definitely sporting the nicest stop of initiative.
Yeah, and if everyone's cool with it, I would like to go first and get over to Ivory before those warheads go off or anything else happens. So based on where Ivory fell, as I really haven't moved, I moved once to get to cover. So how many move actions am I away from Ivory right now?
For you,
Tim?
I'd say near, because of the building falling and everything like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so I will. I could do some bullshit again. I'm gonna do that. So I'm going to. I'm gonna do a run and gun. So I hop up over the cover and I'm gonna use my glide thrusters to move as I'm attacking. So I'm gonna make a single attack with my Buster rifle against my doppelganger. And that is a success with an 8 on the die. Okay. Max damage, which is 10.
Oh no.
8 plus 2. So 10 damage. And then I need to roll reactor for my glide thrusters.
Please do.
I'm good. I am now at Ivory. I'm going to use action to administer repair nanites. Which will give...
Can you see inside my cockpit at this point when you're right up next to me?
Sure, yeah.
So I'm going to mute my mic because you can't tell what he's saying, but you're going to see. And that's all you see.
Okay, so... repair nanites. I just rolled max, so that's 5 HP back to you, Ivory. And then I basically like slam this little pad onto what I can see of Ivory, and this cloud or swarm of little nanites starts covering the surface of the mecha and filling in the holes and damage and stuff and stitching everything together. And I grab Ivory's arm and start pulling the mecha from the rubble, the wreckage. And that'll be my turn.
And as you do all of that,
I saved him and he dropped.
Listen, that couldn't have been better timed. Where he's like, all you see is, all you hear is bleh, and I thought that's very real. My comms are robot voicing.
Too real.
What I was going to say is, I'm going to wait until he jumps back in so that what I was going to say is that when you do all of this, the nanites, this sort of like heat, this as this robot is sort of reforming, you see like a couple of these like errant nanites, like, and they start repairing, air quotes, repairing the warhead, because they're just little nanites and they don't know. And you hear warhead armed. Destruction in T-minus 59, 58, 57, and it begins counting down. Whose turn's next?
I will say over the comm as my turn ends here. And you're not used to hearing any emotion in Zero's voice, but there's just the slightest edge of panic as he says, "We need to get the hell out of here."
Okay, I think it's Dark Harmony's turn now because Ivory is still sort of getting conscious, I'm assuming, or coming back online or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So, do I want to deal with the warhead? Nah. I'm going to go and try to stop evil Vulcan Zero from being evil and shutting our gate thing. So I am going to go to where he is. And how far has he got from me?
So from you right now, he's probably near, especially because you were already engaging, like specifically trying to attack.
Okay. Then I will not have to move. I will stay where I am, and I will attack him with my pulse pistol, and I will throw the die on the floor, and I will roll the other die, and that is a 3 points of damage from that, and then oh dear, do I want to make a run for the door? I'm gonna grab zombie coyote's defunct corpse, and I'm guessing that's like an action.
Yeah,
that.
I would let you
I'm
make
gonna-
that a use action.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab him, and I'm not gonna bother hiding because that would just be annoying at this point.
That's fantastic. And you, with your pistol, you shoot a couple of fingers off of Vulcan Zero Prime, and now it's just this shamble of bionic wires, hydraulic fluids spilling out, sparks shambling toward this gate, and just trying to get to it as it sort of is emanating these strange, probably the thing that it used to figure out how to warp this world, maybe even some Verilian tunnel tech in a module built inside of it.
I would have been aiming for that module.
Yep. And it definitely almost hits, but it swipes its hand in front, and one of your bullets takes a finger off. Still good with the calculations, this one. And then is that Ivory Edge? I think your turn, right?
Okay. So as the nano bites are kind of patching my system back together enough, am I actually pinned, or is that more flavor pinned with the rock?
I would say it's more flavor
Rebel.
because I would imagine when Vulcan Zero came to tend to you, he wouldn't have left a building on you. Like I would imagine
Thank
he'd
you.
like and all the nanites and everything like that. And as you sort of start to come to, just one
Okay.
quick thing, as you're kind of deciding on what your turn is. 39, 38, 37, 36.
So I'm going to stand up and kind of look around again, swiveling at the torso to kind of look back to see where Zombie Coyote is. And I see their bodies of both the Prime and the other one just there. And it's like, I kind of just realize he's down and he's not getting back up. And taking a moment to really think, do I really want to do this? And the boss isn't here anymore. I'm going to detach the big backpack with all the metals and stuff that I have in it. And it's like, we need to get out of here. And then being lighter now, I just begin to take off, and I would like to take 2 move actions to try to get from, I think that would put me right next to the portal. And I don't know if I pass anybody on the way.
As of now, there's no one passable that would be able to hurt you. So
Okay.
At least the way that you are. But real quick for flavor, Dark Harmony is hoisting Zombie Coyote's corpse, and you can see the lifeless head of this mecha like bouncing, almost looking at you judgmentally as you take off the backpack.
I'll get a new one. I'll get that one. And then I see my kind of clone. And as I get up to the portal, I'm going to pause and look at him and look enviously at his backpack. But I rolled a 5 for my reactor dice. I'm okay. And kind of sparks fluttering out of all the different crevices because of how damaged he is. And he was trying to survive.
Okay. And if you want to push to go through the portal, I will let you roll your reactor die at disadvantage.
Yeah, absolutely. That's double 6s.
All right. So if you want to, you can jump through to the other side of the Verilian tunnel.
Can I see the battlefield of kind of where everyone's at? Where's Vulcan Zero?
Vulcan Zero, you passed it as it shambles sort of toward the portal. It's definitely still making headway. You kind of like, especially because of how quickly you moved, you like ran past it.
Okay, so I don't want to actually go through the portal then.
Okay.
I want to turn and like stand, not that threateningly, but as much as I can to kind of block it from Zero Prime until Dark Harmony, Onyx, and Vulcan can regroup.
Yeah, that's perfect. And so, and it is now Vulcan Prime's turn, and it just like attempts to like push, like shove, just kind of shove you narratively out of the way. Not even really an attack. And it focuses on making this entire force of the Verilian tunnel close. And I'll give you an opportunity attack.
About to ask for one. So he doesn't have like a super like nice sword or anything, but he does have a blade that's made out of just kind of very like razor sharp metal, like sheet metal that he's kind of folded over and fabricated into a blade. And so he just kind of tries to whack you with it from the back, and that will be a power test, which is a fail, which is fine. But it just probably glances off. It's not that effective.
Yeah. And so now he is going to take basically his full turn to try to just... And I'm going to give this Verilian tunnel a stat, and it's going to roll again, like just basically nature, similarly to how I did a target number with the gravitational field. Okay, so Vulcan 0 Prime is able to muscle this this Verilian tunnel almost entirely closed, and you could see that unless you exit very quickly, it's going to close forever. And we're back to Onyx Sunset.
So is it clear that it's Vulcan Prime that's causing this to close, or
Absolutely.
does it look like it's
no, it's like the classic like hands like
Okay.
using this sort of Verilian tech module to sort of like
So so Onyx is going to turn away from Ivory Prime and just move towards Vulcan Prime. You want me to roll mobility for opportunity attack against me?
You're going to pass the...
Yeah, because I was already fighting with Ivory Edge Prime.
Yes.
But I'm turning away.
Absolutely.
That is a 14, which is not... That's a fail, so...
All right, so
I will...
Against Ivory Edge Prime?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so what you're going to take is 1d8 damage.
That would be a 7. So why can't I roll this good against everybody else? All right, so that basically does away with all of the work I just did. So that red glow like disappears on my armor now. But I'm walking up to Vulcan Prime, and I'm swinging 3-handed with that axe again. And that is a 3. So
hits.
Yep, that is going to be... That is a 9. That's 9 points of damage.
Describe to me what it looks like as you destroy Vulcan 0 Prime.
So because the head was already gone, right?
Yes.
So
and it's more of
I
a
just
shambles, yeah, just like this.
Yeah, I just cleave right down through that spot between the shoulders where the head used to be, and it's like hot knife butter. You know, there's no resistance at all because I've got this thermal axe head, and it just cuts right through. And as the body like splits in half, again, I'm reaching for bits and pieces, and I'm shoving them into that section in my midsection, trying to recover my armor. And I'm going to roll the 2 on my reactor die.
Oh, on a reactor die. Sorry.
But
way to go.
But you see Eli is in there just furiously pushing buttons as he's trying to keep that reactor from overloading, and you just hear him muddle, I'm too old for this shit. And since I'm a vet, I have too old for this shit. My reactor die only downgrades on a 1. So,
nice. Yeah, because you know how to reroute and hose and
right.
Spitting water on stuff.
So yeah, that's it. So I'm grabbing stuff and shoving them inside, and you see that so I'll get those 8. Well, I'll get 7 points back because that's my max. But as I add points back to my armor.
And as you cut that Vulcan Zero Prime in half, that, like you say, hot knife through butter, both sides have that orange ring of melting steel. And flying is one solitary thing, like a leaf on the wind. And its edge has caught fire, and it's the picture of a cat that slowly burns into ash as Vulcan Zero Prime dies. And we'll start the top of the initiative order with 28, 27, 26, 25.
Where's Ivory Edge, the Prime, compared to me? If I'm right in front of the portal or if I'm shoved off to the side, it'll...
Kind of far.
I want to, if no one else is jumping into action, I am going to ignite my missile barrage, and as the kind of it reloads, and then a string of these 6 missiles, and I want to target all of the joints to where my clone mech is kind of built together, all the weak points, if I can. And that will be a reactor die of 4, so that's a pass, and then that's 4d4.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Missile barrage.
I'm
Let's see
ready.
if I can take myself out.
Yep.
It's 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points.
8 total?
Mhm.
Now, before I tell you what happens, I want you to roll under your presence. Tell me it's a pass or a fail.
I rolled my exact 12 on 12, so
Okay.
fail.
Describe to me what it looks like as you destroy your doppelganger and the backpack along with it.
So each missile hits the joint. So there's a socket arm, there's the reactor, there's the actual cockpit, and then there's the 4 connection pieces on the back. And I was trying to hit the connection pieces and the main mech, but one of my missiles just goes directly down like the opening into the backpack, and you just see a explosion of flame burst out the sides. And the backpack detaches from the mech, which crumples apart into pieces. The arms, the cockpit, everything just kind of incinerates. But the backpack is just burst from within too, and it's a very anime explosion of colors, shrapnel, and just. And then inside the cockpit, again, everything's still red lights, no alarm klaxons, but I just, I'll get me one. And then I'd like to try to exit out through the Verilian, or try to jump through the wormhole.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 21, 20.
Do I have to roll mobility? I forget.
Yeah, it's mobility or systems to get through the tunnel. Whatever's higher for you.
The best roll that I rolled all night, a natural 1.
Okay, so I will allow you to, if you can describe it to me, I will let that count as you helping someone else through the tunnel should they choose to accept your help.
Yeah, so I think...
and it'll give them advantage on their...
So Onyx just killed Vulcan Zero. I don't remember where Dark Harmony was. How close were you to the portal?
I'm fine. Don't help me because I've got those jumpy things, the jump jets. So I can get through easily. And I'm over wherever Zombie Coyote dropped.
Okay, so you're further back anyways. Yeah. What about you, Vulcan Zero? Did you catch up to the portal? How close are you
so
to
I'm
the
not
portal?
there yet, but what if you help our mule through?
I would love to do that.
I'll
Like
allow it.
I just remembered, like, we don't know where it is, so maybe we see it like wandering around in the ruins. Like, where is everybody? Like, I have been hopping dimensions, so maybe you're able to
Can I go get that to redeem myself for losing all my loot?
Absolutely. No, absolutely, man. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna see it and just kind of, again, I'm way light because I don't have my huge pack on me, so I'm just gonna start running over and trying to like bring it in, and then. Does the mule float or is it on legs?
We imagined it on like spider legs, like.
Okay. So I would actually try to jump on top of it and like mush and then the spider jumps and just perfectly hits the Verilian hole.
That's beautiful. And you and Molly go straight through the Verilian tunnel. What's left of it closing. 18, 17. Who wants to go next?
All right. So I have the corpse of our leader, and I'm gonna use my jump jets to try to get through the or over to the portal and then through. So I need to roll a reactor die to use that. Do I need to roll more than once because I'm carrying the dead corpse?
I would say no.
Okay. And I roll a 5, so I'm good. And then I'm going to try and hop through the portal, and that's mobility?
It's mobility or system, whatever's higher for you.
Mobility, definitely. And that's a 10, so I'm a pass. Yay, we're through.
All right. So you and the corpse of zombie coyote go through that.
Vulcan Zero is gliding on those thrusters, rollerblading through the ruins of this place as in his cockpit he hears the 18, 17, 16. And he locks the Buster rifle into place. It's sort of like it folds up almost like a Mass Effect weapon. And it becomes this little square, and he tucks it away. And he passes by the remains of Vulcan Zero Prime, laying there in front of the portal. Just wreckage, smoldering wreckage. And he looks down and says, "We found out today it is you who was weak, not me." And he'll turn and give one last look to the ruins, and he sees that Onyx Sunset is not far behind him, and he will attempt to jump through the portal. So I'm gonna roll mobility because my mobility is higher than my system, believe it or not. And that is a 9 under 15. So I rollerblade jet set radio through the tunnel out of the ruins.
Wonderful. Onyx, you hear 10, 9, 7.
So I had to roll under a 13. I rolled a 7. Onyx is right there at the door. He just kind of turns his back to the portal and looks back at the wreckage that we've lain before us, and just kind of 3 arm shrugs and falls back into the portal.
3, 2, 1. And all of you, as you're jumping through this portal, see a firestorm as this warhead obliterates this alternate reality. And you can see just a gout of flame lick up into the Verilian tunnel, but then become warped and dissipate. And all of you land safely at base camp. The mule with ivory edge atop it. And if there's anything else you'd like to do or say before we end this mission, now is the time to do it.
Is it our base camp or an alternate reality base camp that looks like ours?
It appears to be yours.
Okay, just checking.
But everyone has lizard tongues. No, I'm kidding.
I'd like to think that maybe we close on a scene of us as we give final burial rites to Zombie Coyote. Maybe jettison into space.
After you salvage him, of course, but don't be serious.
Of course, no. Yeah.
Yeah. And as the corpse of Zombie Coyote is jettisoned out into space, which is essentially the husk of this kaiju, you see something stirring in the mule. And you hear a sort of rattling and clanking. And then you see signs that not all salvage missions go belly up in Lodestar Alpha, as Vulcan Zero Cat Prime crawls from the wreckage. Meow. And that's where we'll end it.
Love it.
Can the cat have like a scar, like a villain?
Yeah, definitely. Like white eye, but just like so adorable.
Like a post-apocalyptic evil cat. Yeah.
I love it.
That was amazing.
Thank you so much, everybody. I know we went over time. I apologize. I just it sort of got away from me. Hopefully that's
totally
cool.
Fine.
I usually ask in the chat, but I honestly didn't even realize what time it was, being frank with you, and I apologize. But this is the Mecha Hack. This is a lot of use of the mission manual. I will let everybody sign off, and I will do it in the order of my left up to the top right. So let's go ahead and start with Dwight, Onyx Sunset.
Hey, it was a pleasure to be here. I've long wanted to play in an AbTab game, and it's my first time, so I'm excited. This is a blast to play. We talked with Matt earlier today, and it's just gushed over the system. So thank you so much for having me. I am Big Bearded Nerd over on Twitch, Big Bearded Nerd 21. You can come see Mecha Hack. Actually, next week Saturday, we're doing the Mechspendables Save Christmas at 8:30 Eastern time. So it will be a lot more ridiculous than this. But come hang out again. Thank you so much, and I hope to be back someday.
Absolutely, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. It was really, really cool. Nicole, Dark Harmony.
Hey, I wasn't really into mechs until I watched my first game of Mecha Hack, and I was like, this looks fun. I want to do this. And I just love how fast the combat goes and how it feels really powerful, like it feels like you're really doing damage. And you can find me on Mini Terrain Domains, Curse of Strahd on Friday nights. And that's pretty much it. Oh, and I published a book earlier this week. Yay!
Hey,
it's on
congratulations.
RPG. Yeah.
I had no idea. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So I've had a busy week, This was what I was looking forward, though, because I was like, I got to get this done. I got to get this out because I have a Mecha Hack game on Wednesday, and I can't not be ready.
I appreciate that. Can you share the title of the book so that we can look for it on Drive-Thru RPG?
Yeah, it's The Garland Stones. That's Garllyn, because apparently I am an idiot and name it after something hard to spell. Note for next time, naming it something easy to spell.
I love it. Well, congratulations, and thank you for playing. It was a lot of fun. Adrian, Ivory Edge.
Yeah, well, thank you to Tim for running this game. Thank you to Matt for making this game. I did not know that I liked mechs or was so into it until Mecha Hack came out. So I absolutely love this game, and I'm super excited about the new book coming out. So thank you. I run a game group called the Lee 6113 Tabletop RPG Guild, and there's a Facebook group and a Discord and a YouTube channel. So if anyone wants to play one-shots, I run them all the time over on my channel. So thank you.
That's killer, man. Thank you so much. It was really a lot of fun. And then the ghost of Zombie Coyote, who is, unable to join us at the moment. But Aaron brought his signature brand of amazing mecha action. I didn't give the normal speech that I give at the beginning of the game. That's like, hey, everybody, try to keep it like PG-16. That's on me. So if you're listening and you're typically used to the Tabletop Terrors language filter, apologies, but it fit this game, and it fit the character. So sorry if the little ones heard that. It's on me. And then lastly, but certainly not leastly, the person who all of this came from, Matt Click, Vulcan Zero.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Click. This was a real pleasure because I run a lot of Mecha Hack, and I can count on like one hand the number of games I've played of Mecha Hack. So it's very nice to be able to play every once in a while. So Tim, thanks for having me and for inviting me on, and I'm really glad that I got to play with all these lovely people. Yeah, you can find me. I'm on Twitter at Matt Click. I've got a YouTube channel, Fistful of Dice. And I started a Twitch channel recently, and I'm not doing anything important with it. But if you like watching me play video games and build model kits, I'm doing that over there. It's that Matt Click, twitch.tv/that Matt Click. So that's been fun too. But thank you everyone for watching and for backing us on Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is going very well. And I just want to say as a final note here that it warms the depths of my like cold shriveled heart to hear people say that like Mecha Hack got me into Mecha, because that's really cool that it's a game that doesn't require you to be familiar with the genre to enjoy it. And in fact, it presents it in such a way where you can kind of like grok it, like just reading the book and getting a feel for what Mecha is. So that's really, really heartening for me to hear. So thank you guys. So, and Tim, thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. And, I'm Tim. I'm part of Tabletop Terrors. If you are interested in what Matt just described, the link is down in the description. The reason why I think Mecha Hack does what you just described is because it takes all of the awesome archetypes and the tropes, and it presents them in a very clean way that requires no barrier of entry. You need no knowledge to read that a module acts like a chainsaw, and that's it. You don't have to understand the lore, the name of the robot, any of that stuff. It is totally off to the side, and that's what I love about Mecha Hack is that you can run Voltron, Transformers, you can run Outlaw Star, Gundam, and it doesn't matter. You can just kind of plug and play. So please check out the mission manual. It is also very easy to snag a copy of the original Mecha Hack on the Kickstarter. We made sure that there were easy to get bundles, physical and PDF. So check it out. Anyway, this has been really, really fun. And let me tell you, if you have the opportunity to run a game and have the guy who wrote the game in the stream to help you with the rules the whole time, that's the way to go. That's the real Tabletop Terrors special. So anyway, I'm going to do a Tabtarian toast. I don't know if any of you have any drinks left. I have a little bit of a Sprite Zero. And so may you mend the first break. May you kill the first snake. And may you conquer everything you undertake. Mecha.